Howdy, folks. Your host, Double J, back here for another Operation GCD Live Fridays. And it would not be complete without my former stalker and wannabe PR rep and transpocalypse multi-state mind-controlled assassin, Buffalo Jerry Revisa, kicking it all for us every Fridays here. Thank you all for joining me here tonight, folks of the interwebs, to get a little GCD. I won't belabor these points, but once again, I am JJ Vance here, host of Operation GCD, and perhaps more notably, not the vice president. No bombs here, folks, but we got a real barn burner here on deck for y'all tonight. Got my occasional co-host here, Landon, host of the Daily Dissident and fellow Mountaineer. Welcome back, sir, to Operation GCD.
What's up, JJ? Glad to be back, buddy. Super hyped for Fridays. My favorite show. It's one of my favorite shows to do.
I'm a little biased, but it's mine as well. But I appreciate that, sir. And speaking of favorite shows, I thoroughly enjoyed our recent Weird West Virginia discussion over on the Daily Dissident.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a really good, a good show. We had, I think we done it last month, I think, or so, but got around to getting it posted, and it was super fun. So yeah, go check it out if you guys haven't. If you're into like some woo stuff, it's kind of more on the woo side, more so than your regular parapolitical scene. But yeah, super fun episode. Always love doing those. I'm a true Bigfoot believer at heart, man. So
oh yikes! All right, well we might have to have a Bigfoot discussion in the future because I think Bigfoot was invented by the CIA in a psychological operation against America, no different than I discussed here on Thursday nights in the Adventures of Muppet Mikey Aquino and his psyops to mind war regarding Satanism stuff, right? So one of his key one of his core tenets of his operations there was to weaponize folklore. So part of their operations, and he learned it from Edward Lansdale, in the Philippines, and he imported it during the Viet fucking Nam era of the Phoenix program. That's Aquino, that is. But they would take the folklore tales of the locals and bring them to life and scare the shit out of them. So they would kill some villagers, for example. They had a lot of vampire tales in Southeast Asia. So they would poke some holes in the neck, drain them of their blood, hang them upside down in the village, and then, scare the shit out of the villagers. This would be people that they, up and coming, folks that, political dissenters, that kind of deal. They got a way to deal with the dissenters, you know what I mean, at the Daily Dissident.
Right.
You probably know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
So that sounds like we got a future conversation on that one, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to say that's why I love folklore. Really, I love storytelling, so that's kind of what's led me to that. Just like storytelling and stories from our past.
I agree with you, sir. I like your style, and I also like storytelling. And folks can check out Tales of Muppet Mikey Aquino and the Psyops to Mind more. And as I unpack the anatomy of the Satanic Panic, and it'll be Thursdays on Saturdays. Supposed to be premiered yesterday, but
are you switching that date around? Because you've been doing a lot of shows on Saturdays, right?
Well, here's the thing, sir. No, I'm not intentionally doing it. No, I was supposed to premiere it yesterday because I had some plans, but then have you ever seen the film Exorcist?
Yeah.
You know that projectile vomiting situation you see in there?
Right.
Yeah, it was nothing like that, but I was ill the last couple of days, so last day and a half or so. So that'll be on Saturdays this week. I was going to be premiered, but had some plans with my son and then got sick, and then these things happen. It's life. But
that's weird. I was sick Wednesday and Thursday, Tuesday and Wednesday.
I got it Wednesday and Thursday, dude. You must have shipped it my way, bud.
Yes, definitely.
I wasn't feeling too hot during my striking distance in the occult and esoteric film review, but I had the Cosmic Peach Clan over here, and that was good. That was a real barn burner. So, awesome. But won't belabor these points too much further. Do you got any plugs there, sir, on the Daily Dissident?
No, other than my other channel on YouTube, the Fantasy Report. If you guys are into fantasy football, come hang out over there too. So that's it. The Daily Dissident, wherever you get podcasts.
And I have a link. Oh, I will have a link in the show notes if I don't yet. And then, like I said, Operation GCD Thursdays on Saturday, the next installment of the Anatomy of the Satanic Panic, 9:15 p.m. on Saturdays. And then on Sundays, I'm doing an anatomy of a false flag cover-up starring this Muppet. Do you know this Muppet?
I am not familiar.
Her name's Judy Clark. I didn't expect you to be familiar. I was being somewhat facetious, sir, but no. I appreciate you playing along. this Muppet is Judy Clark. She's a federal prosecutor. They bring her in to, clean up operations. From Ted Kaczynski to Eric Rudolph to the
Idaho 4.
Well, they might as well have, right? You know what I mean? It was a state court. She's a federal defender, but if it's a federal case, the Zokar Tsarnaev guy, the Boston bomber, she's the clean.
Oh, really?
Dude, here's her opening statement as Tsarnaev's defense attorney, and it is literally, this is her opening statement. My client's guilty, Your Honor, but not for the reasons the state is asserting. Get the fuck out of here, dude. That's not an actual defense.
Right. You will be, if you cannot afford one will be appointed to you. Well,
there's so many problems with it, dude. The evidence used of the backpacks the FBI entered into evidence in the court case were not the same backpacks that are pictured on the men's backs. So the whole thing's got problems.
Right. That's one of my favorite pieces by McGowan. It really opened my eyes to his, the Boston bombing in general. Because I think I don't know, 13. Was that 2013, right?
That would have been April, or yes, that would have been 2013. You are correct, sir. Yeah.
So I was 13 years old. I think I was in middle school when it happened. So yeah, I don't remember much of, the news coverage of it, but I do remember the guy getting caught in a boat for some weird reason. That's the only thing I remember of like news coverage until I read McGowan's work on the Boston bombing. So,
well, folks can tune in Operation GCD Sundays at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. And I will discuss some of the salient characteristics of the tomfoolery in the cases that Muppet cleans up. Again, Ted Kaczynski, old Uncle Ted there, Mr. Unabombers, he tried to fire her, and the court was like, no, you can't fire her. So there's a lot of problems with these cases. It's certainly not justice. And I don't know if you're aware of this, sir. I did a show on the Unabomber a couple weeks back on Sundays. JJ, that's me, meets the Unabomber, sorta. But I covered a lot of the questions I had there and my experiences that I've gone through there, because I was a groomsman in a wedding in the Unabomber's town in Lincoln, Montana, back in July of '99.
I think I listened to that of yours, actually. You talked about him moving the cabin, right? They end up moving that defense cabin.
Dude, everywhere I went, it was like, oh, Unabomber this, Unabomber that. Like, I got stationed in Great Falls, Montana, my first assignment in the Air Force, and they had just moved the cabin for the trial right before I got there. But everyone's talking about it. I'm like, all right, well, that's cool. Well, can I see it? And they're like, oh, no, it's gone. I'm like, well, then why are we talking about it? But no, right. I just, the folks at Lincoln, Montana had nothing bad to say about him. He wasn't some lone nut in the woods. They knew, the townsfolk there knew his dad, and like his brother lived there and worked there for a while. I mean, there's a lot of things going on here, but that Muppet, Judy Clark, is the one that was jamming up Ted's defense and a lot of other defenses. So we don't know the actual details, but we can point holes, like you were saying McGowan did in the Boston bombing. But I'll be covering some of those details for sure. So, but not any further. We got some great guests here tonight to talk this Muppet right here, the life and crimes of Roy DeMeo. And I got Phil Z and Troublemaker Jonah. Welcome back to Operation GCD, gents. Thanks for joining me, Gil, GCD.
Thank you for having us.
What are your thoughts here on the life and crimes of this Muppet, Roy DeMeo, and or Judy Clark, and any comments for the public and anything you're interested in or topics you're currently researching? I know y'all don't host a podcast, but y'all remember a lot of details and you always have new topics to bring up.
Just reading and coming across new things every day. But yeah, no, Roy DeMeo has always been I think since the first time I came across him, I think I was like 15, reading Murder Machine by Jerry Capisi and Gene Mustaine. Like, the DeMeo crew was one of the most fearsome, feared crews in the Gambino family. I remember reading that simultaneously with the Westies. And of course, there's
that's a great book too, sir. I've read both. Fine books.
What you broke up there, Phil. What book was that?
The Westies by T.J. English. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He, was a cab driver and then became a true crime writer. And he's written about the Westies, the Born to Kill. It was a Vietnamese gang. What else? He's covered the mob in Havana. There's a Havana Nocturne. Wrote a book called The Corporation, which was about Cuban exiles who were involved in the drug trade. And he just wrote a book within the past year that was about these guys. I forget what the organization was called, but they were another Cuban group that they just did a Netflix show. I think it was like another version of like Cocaine Cowboys. and it was these guys, and good book. I mean, he really dives deep into these stories, and actually Paddywhacked was one that went into the entire Irish mob in general. Like it was like the United States history, like Westies, the Winter Hill gang in Boston, Whitey Bulger, and groups out of St. Louis. I think it was Egan's Rats. You had all these like diverse Irish gangsters, some of the guys in Chicago, Bugs Moran and those types. And it's a very comprehensive.
Lucky Luciano.
Well, no, strictly Irish. Paddywhack was like
okay.
strictly Irish gangster. But yeah, I mean, Luciano's in it because, Luciano associated with some of them.
Is it fair to call these folks Irish, though, the Westies? They were really the henchmen for the Italians, right?
Well, Jimmy Coonan thought he was Italian, basically. I mean, that's what kind of came out later on, is that he really had kind of turned over to the point where he alienated Mickey Featherstone, who was kind of like his, you almost call him his underboss, and some of the other guys, to where there almost could have been a war inside the Westies. But before that could happen, they framed Featherstone for a murder, which eventually led to him testifying, but only under the condition that the feds help him basically overturn, his murder conviction.
Oh wow! So is there like program to kill vibes with the whole mob?
I'm glad you said that, sir, because I called Roy DeMeo a serial killer.
Definitely a serial killer.
But I like this comment here, and I want to go over to Jonah, sir. It looks like you got some commentary as well on this stuff. And anything to kick off the conversation besides what we've already said, sir?
Well, I actually put together about 40-something slides. I did quote, I did get a lot of the quotes from the Murder Machine. I did some from the Roy DeMeo FOIA, which is really fucking hilarious because the FOIA itself starts in, and I'll go through this on the slides, but it starts in November of '83. But DeMeo gets murdered in fucking January of '83. So
I saw that.
Well, they just want to cross their T's and dot their lowercase J's, sir. I mean, they just want to be effective in their investigations,
Who was the Iceman for?
That was Richard Kuklinski, and now that's a controversial point. I'm sure Jonah might have some information on that too. But so they made that movie, The Iceman, with Michael Shannon playing him and Ray Liotta played Roy DeMeo. There's controversy whether there was ever a connection. I think Jerry Capisi, who's like the authority on a lot of this stuff, even though take that for what you will, he said Kuklinski, his only connection was he might have bought like a piece from the Gemini crew, the guys in Canarsie, but that was it. But then again, Richard Kuklinski, before he died, kind of unexpectedly, implicated Sammy Gravano in the murder of a cop named Peter Calabro, which does pop up in the Murder Machine book as one of the murders attributed to the DeMeo crew. And that would have been validated Gravano's deal if he got implicated in any other crimes. And to be honest, Kuklinski wasn't the only person. You had Gaspard Casso, who implicated Gravano in drug dealing, which Gravano never copped to, even though he gets busted for.
I was about to say, even though he gets busted running the biggest ecstasy ring, right? So down there in Scottsdale, which is funny because I live on Mesa. I lived down in Scottsdale for a brief period of time when I was stationed down there, and it's funny because I got to know Scottsdale, Arizona. Yes, sir. Tempe, Scottsdale. Yeah.
Okay.
But he was in Scottsdale running a construction company.
Don't forget about Sean Atwood. He was the
shocker, Jay.
I was gonna. You're in my brain hole, sir. You're in my brain hole. So when I get down there, this is like 2008, dude. Everyone's telling me because I worked part time in the LA Fitness as a personal trainer, and in fact, there was more silicone in that LA Fitness than there was any iron, if you will. But if you know what I'm saying. But everyone down there was telling me they all knew it was Sammy the Songbird. I call him Sammy the Songbird because here, Lord of I'm not big into these tales. I read these tales because I don't like crime. I don't venerate these tales, but it is interesting because everyone seems to think that these people have some sort of code of ethics or some. I don't know. There's some general idea these folks have a code of ethics. I've never understood that, and Today, I would never have expected, though, to see Sammy the Songbird and other such folks like Michael Franchise and whatnot, capos and near capo level folks, and screaming at each other on YouTube about being rats. You know what I mean?
Now they're podcasters, right?
Hey,
Now they're
hey, you
podcasters.
ever see the television show with his daughter, fucking Mob Wives or whatever the fuck it is?
The biggest misnomer there ever was Mob Wives. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
no,
they did a whole show getting living Gotti or something like that, right? They did a whole show around
No,
some.
Mob Wives was different.
Yeah,
was a
Mob
movie.
Wives
Mob Wives
was VH1. which
Right.
They did a few seasons because you had Karen Gravano, you had what was that?
Big
Angie,
Ange.
whatever, Big Ange, yeah, and most of them weren't
Dorita
hot wives, they were
Tavazo.
related. Yeah, you had like ones who were kind of like connected, but
Dorita
were
was
daughters.
the only one. Dorita was the
I
only
haven't-
one that was married, if I remember correct. My ex used to watch
Yeah.
that shit all the time, but Dorita was married to a guy Lee. They never gave his last name, I don't think so, but he was he was upstate the whole fucking time. But the whole thing was like, man, they're up there like talking like they're in the game and everything, and it's just like, oh yeah, on my slideshow too. And I don't know, I don't think Landon will know about it. Phil, you might.
No, I
got a
have no
bunch
idea.
of shit.
I have no idea what growing up Gotti was.
No.
Okay.
I'm going into a different topic because I'm also tying into, because you brought up Beluciano's, and I have some stuff in there tied back to the whole Gladio and how DeMeo's operation is pretty much a Gladio rundown. But have
wow.
either of you two, I know I've shared the documents with JJ, but have either of you two ever heard of Project Cassandra?
No, I'm not familiar.
It
Oh,
sounds a little. I mean, the name sounds sort of familiar, but nothing.
It sounded
definitive.
like I said a dirty word.
Hezbollah.
Did you ever see that,
Hezbollah.
JJ? The Jim Justice clip? When he said, follow the fucking guidelines.
Fellow Logan
But
County.
real quick,
a Logan Wildcat, if you will.
real quick, since I brought up the whole fucking Project Gladio shit, et cetera, and about the only thing in my slideshow that we're not going to be covering is the Vatican. Have either of you two heard about the Grace for the World concert tomorrow at the Vatican? I just put in the links there. If JJ wants to possibly bring it up for everyone to look at. It's the lineup. Wait till you see the lineup they
Come
got
right up,
going
sir.
for this fucking shit. It's a concert in St. Peter's Square. It's occurring tomorrow.
Where do I get tickets?
No,
Is
it's
it too
already.
late? The Ticketmaster event?
No, but you get it on graceforworld.live or something.
Oh, so you're
like
saying
that.
it's not too late.
But,
All right,
the
fantastic.
link I just
I'll get my passport ready.
But I think that's the one. I might have gave you the wrong one, but it's Jennifer Hudson, Bam Bam were the last two announced. But it's Pharrell with Andrea Bocello. But then it's ABC News Live. You see there, Hulu, Disney Plus, and it's got John Legend, Carol G, The Clips. When like, come on, that's how I heard about it. Jelly Roll.
Oh, you got to have a jelly roll.
Teddy Swims, whoever. Oh, actually, I know who that is. My mom buddy listens to him. And Angelique Kidjo, and they're doing this right in fucking St. Peter's Square. So that's something that's going to be really
Something you don't want to miss is
interesting,
what you're saying, right? You don't want to miss that, right?
I mean, it almost sounds like there's going to be a bootleg flag.
I'll buy that. I'll buy a copy of that, dude. I'll buy a copy of that.
Or my other question is, like, what kind of pull does fucking either Bocelli or whatever the fuck his name is, Bocello, Andrea, whatever the fuck his name is, the maestro? What kind of pull do him and Pharrell have that they got this concert at the fucking St. Peter's Square, or is the fucking Pope that fucking, is he that conflicted that he has to fucking set this up? Like, what's going on, right? That's just weird as shit. But it ties in, and I saw that today.
Dude, we're living in Muppet world, sir. It kind of all, it's all weird these days, right?
I saw it today because Pusha T, who's from Clips, grinding. Like, I mean, the whole fact that you got like a drug push, but I mean, it actually does completely fit with the Vatican drug pushing rap act going to perform at the Vatican. I mean, it just kind of fit,
I mean, I just want to know where I get tickets. I mean, that's all I'm wondering about.
You just do Grace for the World, man. You search, and they're still selling them.
I think the Vatican Bank's
yeah.
probably still laundering drug money in some form or another.
Oh, dude, for sure. Right?
Just
Dude,
slightly.
Richard Marchenko, dude, he never got held accountable, dude. Speaking of Arizona, dude,
Paul Marcinkus.
Paul, there you go. My bad. I got my.
That's
my
all right.
character
Close
mixed
enough.
up.
Close enough.
Marchenko was the one I was bringing up last time I was on. Where
he's the Iran Contra CIA guy, right? Yeah. I got lost in some malted hops and bong resin there, but he died in Arizona as an old man.
And he was from Cicero. Yeah. He was from Cicero, Illinois.
Hey, speaking of which, I know Phil doesn't really want to talk about this topic, but JJ, if you could bring up the screen there that I'm going to share right now, because I just actually, we just got to touch on it briefly, but I just, you brought up Iran Contra, and bring up the screen that I'm sharing. We got the CNP. Everyone here knows who CNP is, right?
Well, for those folks who don't like myself, won't you feel censor?
Council for National Policy. It was under Reagan. It's the CFR of the right wing.
Yeah, and they're very active amongst communities on the right wing media too, right?
Yeah. So you get you go down to their webpage and you get the media.
There's our boy,
insider.
Edwin Meese.
Right,
Edwin Meese.
Right there, Mr. Meese.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna skip down to the next. Oh shit.
Oh,
so
we're playing this game. I didn't know we were playing this game.
And
do you know who sat on his board? Do you know who sat on his board? I got on a rant about board of directors earlier in a comment on Twixter because I just think the idea of having someone as a what is a board of. I don't even want one director, let alone a board of directors. I'll direct those folks to a board somewhere. But no, take a wild guess who I like where you're at though. Take a wild guess who sits on Charlie Kirk's board.
Alex Jones.
Well, that's a good guess actually, but no. Think general. Think Friends of Aquino. Think QAnon general.
Wait.
Flynn?
Can I jump
Paul
in on
Valle?
Alex Jones real quick?
Paul Valle, yes sir. But General Flynn was a good guess. They are friends, obviously.
Can I jump in on the Alex
weird.
Jones comment real quick? Because I'm just calling this the Kill Bill play. As much as we can say Bill Cooper was either, I don't know. Once I realized his murder was on November 5th, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then, but I mean, this is a Kill Bill play, right? You get Charlie Kirk gets dead. The next day, fucking that piece of shit scum fuck. Nick Fuentes is the largest media in the world. He's outperforming the top 3 streamers in the world. And it's all bots, of course, but people are gonna buy into it, thinking like, this is the new guy, right? So again, that's just like they killed Bill Cooper, and then Bill Hicks comes in and sneaks into Bohemian Grove, where lugging a fucking 30-pound fucking VHS recorder, but no one notices him.
That's totally normal, dude. Totally normal.
Can I shout someone out real quick for their work on this? He came on my show about 2 months ago, Mr. John Brisson, and I need to get you in contact with him, JJ. I think you guys
read the documents.
Yeah, we were talking about Nick. He was telling me 2 months ago that Nick Fuentes was the next in line. He was go watch the podcast. He says word for word they were lining him up to be the next Alex, the next talking head of the alt-right media. So, yeah, and that was.
I'm pretty sure that's where I first heard of the CNP was from John Brisson.
Yeah, John
that's how I know about the CNP is through John's work there.
John, you get
fine stuff.
Hey, wait.
Yeah.
You know where I heard from it? I'm gonna throw it because I go with all the media, right? So I heard from it that as much as I despise him and his father, Max Blumenthal, they did fantastic about 10 years ago under the Gray Zone, where he got a copy of their members list, etc. Bill Hicks is on there, of course, if I recall correct. But yeah, the Gray Zone did a bunch of dives into the CNP a while back. I think that's where I heard of it. There was one other one, but that was just a fucking a document drop site that I navigate away from eventually because sometimes you just get too many documents.
John has like 40 videos, JJ, on the CNP. Like he is like,
I was
if you want
being
to know
facetious
anything,
there. No, you're doing a good hype job for him, man. He's done a lot of good work on the subject. That's why I was saying, I know through his work how deeply ingrained they are in right wing media. And speaking of such, they removed Paul Valle from the Turning Point USA website. What the fuck's this about?
They scrubbed that shit quick, dude. You know what's weird?
Check this out, dude. Check this out. So the machines, the AI machines will tell us Major General Paul Valle is not affiliated with Turning Point USA. Conservative student. Bullshit, dude. Bullshit. You can see right here, dude. Wait, hold on. Boom, our team, Paul Valle. Yeah. Look, you click on it, dude. He's been removed. What the fuck is going on in Muppet World 2025?
Rewriting history in real time.
Right? Dude, they removed him, dude. What the fuck, dude? He was literally just here last week.
And did you see the whole fucking JD Vance washing of fucking Charlie Kirk's balls where he just to me, he just basically admits he's a puppet of fucking CNP anyways. His X post.
You know what's really interesting though, touching on that, Jonah, it's what really angers me is that there's like this whole other subset just because we think that, Paul Valle is a plant. We know that he's a shit bum. Like the CNP is a right wing form of this, NWO, New World Order, whatever have you. It's so irritating when you say that you're automatically a liberal and vice versa. It gets turned on its head. You know what I mean? If you talk bad about the right, then you're a leftist.
You're spot on, sir. You're describing the point of the PSYOP.
Right. And I'm just, I'm over here like politically homeless. And I'm like, dude, what are you guys doing? You know what I mean? Like I'm in my cardboard box, just hanging out and shit. And then you got everybody else. They're just throwing beer cans and shit at my cardboard box. I live next to my
garbage can, sir. So I know what you're talking about.
Well, just to give an example, I used to say for people who used to question what went on in Mena, Arkansas. Now, some would be like, "Oh, no, that's Bill Clinton, that's the Dixie Mafia," and then others are like, "Well, no, that's Bush, and that's the Enterprise." Meanwhile, it's like if you mention it's both,
exactly, dude.
You're just an asshole, no, they were both. Okay. And to be honest, I still remember reading. It was a deposition online from Richard Brennicky, who was a CIA contrapilot. I think he was from the Northwest. I think he was from the Washington or something like that, where he recalled bringing drugs from like Mena up to deliver to the Gambinos. Now, again, that could have been, that could have been full of shit. I don't know. I remember it surfaced in relation to the Boys on the Tracks case. It was on the website with Kevin Ives and Don Henry. And it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the amount of stuff that we know, and I mean, just what we take in from books, freedom of information, I said, there's just so much more beneath that. That's why it just kind of cracks me up when everybody's, talking about what's being released with the JFK files. I said, that's what they're allowing you to see. Right. I said, they're not going to keep records of everything. I said, even MK Ultra, their receipts, people kept receipts, which led to what they wanted us to see. Their whole thing was MK Ultra was a failure. I believe it succeeded, and they just rebranded it under something else. Like, they're not going to admit a success like that.
100%. That's so true, dude.
Well, that is an excellent segue, sir, into tonight's discussion on serial killers of a hypnotic and mind-controlled variety. And the comment we had earlier in the chat about, Roy, it's my position as well. I agree. Roy DeMeo was taught how to do these tactics from someone somewhere. And I'm just saying,
I'll get into that a little bit.
Yes, sir. I figured you had some good thoughts on that, sir, and I do look forward to that. And we kick it off here with another guy who some folks on the interwebs claim is a serial killer as well. That is Roy DeMeo's fellow high school graduating classmate, Bernie Sanders.
That's crazy.
There's a theory that he is the Zodiac killer. I'm not saying I subscribe to these things. I do find them hilarious, though.
Wow.
Oh man, the list of people that graduate from that high school is fucking ridiculous too. I guess it's like Roy DeMeo was like a top student or whatever, because that James A. Madison High School in New York is like one of those ones where you have to get accepted to it, some shit or something. At least that's what Jerry
magnet schools or something like that, or charter schools.
Yeah, that's what Jerry Capizzi and Gene Mustaine were saying in fucking that Murder Machine.
Dude, it's nuts.
I love these wild conspiracy theories though about Bernie. If I may sort of Bernie being the Zodiac again, I'm going to get emails from the guy who runs that website. He hates me because I joke on him all the time. Whatever. That's America. It's America. Anyway, there's a website called Stephen King Killed John Lennon.
I've heard of that one. Yeah, I think
I've seen that one.
That's a good one. I like that one too.
That's
go ahead, Landon. What were you saying, bud?
I was just saying, speaking of these, I watched the John Wayne Gacy tapes on Peacock the other night, and dude, it is so trash. There's not one mention of Phil Paskey in that whole documentary, and that is the link.
It's my understanding he's only guilty of running an illegal graveyard.
Basically,
wait. His comment in that he says that in that documentary, right?
Dude, you got to watch it on Peacock. It's crazy. I just couldn't believe they did not mention Phil Paskey and the whole Dallas Dean Corll stuff. You know what I mean?
Can believe it, dude. They're not
Dean Corll. Shit.
John David Norman.
John David Norman. Yeah.
No. Norman. John David Norman. Yeah. That's the link, bro. That's the link to the sex trap. That's your kingpin of, you know what I mean? But they don't want to acknowledge that. That doesn't exist in their world because that's too scary. That's more sinister than what John did. We're talking thousands of people. You know what I mean? When you get into that realm of, I guess you would call it a Gladio spinoff, right? An American Gladio. Didn't want to go on a rant, but I just
no, dude, you're spot on, dude. I like it, dude. I like your style, sir. And on that note, if I may share this real quick before we go into the murder machine business. On the note of these being Gladio things, satanic serial killers, Michael Aquino, Satanic Murder Inc., Gladio, Phoenix Program, serial killers come home as Dave McGowan asserts. I think there's a lot to be said, and more and more details support these things. What do y'all think about this?
To contradict you?
Oh, I mean, he's inbound, dude. As soon as I mention these things, he's inbound. They activate the AI bots. So that's Roy DeMeo on our right. That's David Berkowitz on our left. And that's not a David Berkowitz sketch in the middle, although it is one of the sketches from the Son of Sam killings.
I was getting ready to say, dude, is this around New York around the same time as Berkowitz? Because I'm not. This is the first time I ever.
Well, you got yourself a New Yorker right there,
but I do know about Berkowitz, and I was going to ask you guys: is this like a Berkowitz tag team duo here? WWE action going on? Are these dudes running together?
Well, I mean, if he's part of the cult, sure, right? I mean, interestingly enough, he's a made man that same year. That same year, he gets a made man.
Which Paul Castellano didn't want to do.
Wait. And against all odds, right? Like, no one liked this dude, right?
No, he only got made because he brought in the Westies to the Gambino family as a fucking underling.
There you go.
So he took up Mickey Spillane.
Yep.
That helps.
There is a connection. I think I mentioned this before, JJ. The guy who worked on, the Omega Task Force, which was the Son of Sam.
Yes, sir.
Also investigated his mom, Joe Coffey, who I mentioned before.
You did mention that, sir. That's why I find these links kind of intriguing.
And in his book, he mentions when he gets like the beep, he gets the call in May of '77, and he thinks it's another Son of Sam shooting, and it's Mickey Spillane's killing.
So they're going on to the same. These are simultaneous investigations by the same investigators. That's what I'm saying. I think there's a lot to be said about these things.
Well,
wasn't there also involved with Berkowitz? Wasn't he like alleged snuff film? Like he was grabbing kids for that reason?
Well,
who was that, sir? I missed that.
Berkowitz.
Well, there's definitely snuff and child porn at the root of all that, and at the root of Roy DeMeo's game. He was deeply involved in all of that business.
Is that Johnny Gosh?
Yeah,
is that the Johnny Gosh case?
Right. There's a direct connection, right? No, and Jonah or Phil probably knows this better than I do. There's a fellow that was in the Gambino Associates that's linked to the Diddlin network, so that connected to the Son of Sam stuff from the Jim Rothstein files, and his investigations connected to that moving company in the UN that was derivative or corollary to this cult activity, they crossed over and included some of the same parties, apparently. Well, that dude apparently was not a made man, but he was an associate of the Gambinos, and apparently he worked in or around, or I guess Roy DeMeo murked him, right? Or one of his crew did, I think.
Which one is this? Because I know
Mikey Muscles.
I got the whole list according to Wikipedia in the slide presentation. Let's see.
They said, I mean, from what I remember, they could connect them, the DeMeo crew, to 25, or they indicted for 25 murders, but they believed at least 250.
Yeah.
And in terms of porn, I mean, I believe they were involved, but I know one of the main guys wasn't with the DeMeo crew, and that was Robert DiBernardo. That was one of Sammy Gravano's hits.
Yeah,
but,
this guy was Lucchese, but DeMeo's crew apparently, they apparently took care of him.
Yeah, DeMeo had a bunch of DeMeo had a bunch of weird shit, but he was doing that out of Bricktown, New Jersey. So I forget. I'm actually just looking through here. Lucchese Associates. No, that's if you go back to
this dude connects over to directly with that same crew within the diddling pornography stuff. That again, DeMeo himself was involved in. It seems, right?
That's weird.
Well, he was originally involved with the Lucchese anyways, because that's his neighborhood.
Oh, that's right. They traded him, didn't they? They didn't. They traded him teams, didn't they?
Well, no, he got in with Gaji or Anthony Gaji, because the Gaji he wasn't button man or he wasn't anything. He was just a soldier. But I mean, at the same time, Gaji was a made man, but fucking DeMeo himself was living just down the street from Gambino because he was making so much fucking money because he was into everything.
Yeah, he was in Massapequa.
Yeah.
Hey, not too far from Rex Heuermann, huh?
Are you
not
guys
too far
saying?
from me.
Are you saying these mob members? Are you saying these guys are actually these mob groups of different families? Or you think they're using blackmail as a real weapon? Because if I'm thinking about how do I gain leverage over someone, especially a political member, maybe Roy Cohn, maybe somebody of that nature, I don't know. How do I gain leverage?
Dude, these are all aspects of. These are all part of that octopus, right?
You think it's bigger though?
Even better with them, it's loan sharking, right? So they give you money, you make the pay, you make the veg, but then you don't, and all of a sudden you fucking.
They gotcha. Yeah, it's like Goodfellas. It's like with the guy whose restaurant, Sonny Buns, whose restaurant gets taken
I'm glad you brought that up, sir, because this man inserted himself into the Goodfellas tale despite never being there present with any of those activities. You do see his name mentioned in the film. Now, he also knows David Berkowitz. He recently met with him in prison in a weird sit-down, if you want to say it that way. Mm-hmm. I call him a wandering bishop because he can't make money, to my understandings. He makes it all under his Christian nonprofit. He likes to yell at Sammy the Songbird a lot about being a rat. They're both rats. But, he says he didn't rat anyone out. Look at the court record, but apparently he thinks people don't know how to read. But anyhow, he gets inducted into the mobster shit Hall of Fame there, whatever they call it, in a blood ritual ceremony by his own admission on Halloween, October 31st, 1976, I think it is. Might have been 77. So around the same time as DeMeo, right when they opened the books back up.
Yep.
Yeah, I think at the same time when they just opened the books up.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, we're talking 76. You know who just started his infiltration of the mafia that year?
Serpico?
If you're going to tell me Ronald McDonald, sir, I'm out of here.
Donnie Brasco, because he was in. The story is he was in for 5 years. He started
What's your take on that guy? You know a lot about the mob families, and I've only been learning about these things. And honestly, I didn't give a shit about the mafia until I read the Westies a few years back, and about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. A friend of mine who went to high school with one of the children of one of the mobsters. I forget. Don't ask me which one. Somewhere up there in New Jersey, in Monmouth area. But anyhow, I read that book. It was a good book, and then I watched The Offer, which you two gents will be joining me here on Wednesdays, and this next Wednesdays for that review. But that's what really got me into learning more about these things and seeing how all of these things connect. So how does Donnie Brasco tell these stories? How does he run around in public, right? Go ahead, sir.
Oh, I was just gonna say when I first watched The Offer, I was just mind blown. But as far as Donnie
Right.
Brasco, like he did a deep cover. Now, I mean, I mean, as far as that goes, like when you're in New York City, you know, when the Sonny Barger, who was the what was it, the Angels,
Hells Angels
in Arizona, yeah, they did a big. But in reality, I mean, more often than not, they just do surveillance unless you're a really big unit who's all. I'm assuming that. I basically assume that you're already connected with the politicians and then that whatnot. So they put these undercovers in to fucking keep them in line and keep them doing the business that they want them to win. Because I mean, it just you know, like you hear these stories about undercovers, but I know a lot of criminals. I know a lot of convicts. Very few, if any, I know were undercovers. It's always, hey, this guy got caught and he ran his way up. So the whole undercover thing, I mean, there's obviously stories out there about it, but at the same time, it's like, you know, if you're not New York City, if you're not like major metropolis, like I know I was under a whole task force surveillance in the 90s, like whatever, and they took the whole crew down, but that was a task force. They didn't even try with an undercover in Kansas. I mean, so it just seems odd to me about the whole undercover.
Hell's Angels.
Thompson?
Did he go? Yeah, he went undercover with Hell's Angels.
Well, yeah, he got in with the Hells Angels, and then towards the end, they beat the shit out of him. I mean, I think he got saved. I think Sonny Barger, or there was another guy, basically saved him from getting killed.
Wasn't he supposedly a pedophile?
Wasn't he at the Geraldo?
Yeah, I was about to say, did you say undercover, sir? Or did you say he's hanging out with his friends? You know what I mean? Like, what's really going on here, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the end, I think made them look bad, but yeah, Hunter Thompson. I mean, his name is on one of the films made of, you know, the kids in Nebraska. So you know, whether that was done as just quote unquote to make him look guilty or he was involved, and it's more simple than that.
If I'm not mistaken, though, I think Paul Bonacci, one of the primary witnesses in that Franklin scandal case, names him as seeing him in one of these filming events, if you will. And it's interesting to see. You know, on its face, it may seem a bit preposterous, but he's in the network, obviously in the cult network that is Thompson, and you know, dating back to his days when the Esalen Institute opened, he was their first security guard. Believe it or not.
And he was the doorman at the O'Farrell Theater for the Mitchell brothers.
Oh, that's strange. He's just everywhere, isn't he? That Hunter S. Thompson. That's funny. And then you see him also with the same situation with these crossover situations. You see Rusty Nelson, the kid diddling pornographer guy in the Franklin scandal, naming Michael Aquino, was running around with a briefcase full of bearer bonds to get delivered to the Iran Contras. We're back to Iran Contra again.
Right. Just like that.
The bearer
Paul
bonds
Bonacci. Didn't Paul Bonacci name? He was connected with the Gacy stuff too, because he ends up naming one of the helpers of what's John David Norman's blood buddy. What was his name? You know, Phil?
No,
Ronald McDonald, sir. I'm out of here.
No,
you're right. He claims that he's the one who kidnapped Johnny Gosh.
Right. It was his accomplice, though. John Norman's accomplice. Philip Paskey. That was it. That was the accomplice that I was. Yeah.
So, on that note, before we go any further into the murder machines and in the life and crimes of serial killer Roy DeMeo and possibly his high school graduating classmate and possible serial killer Bernie Sanders, hold that thought, fellas.
You tell me, who is your daddy and what does he do?
What do y'all think? It's my favorite game here in Operation GCD Fridays. Who is his daddy and what does he do? This is a man who's been very, very much a seminal figure in Hollywood across numerous decades and generations. He actually carries over the cult scene in many regards, from the John Huston, John Carradine, John Barrymore, a lot of John's era of old Hollywood. You know, the George Hodel, Black Dahlia kind of scene. Those were his friends, the Johns. You know, and he carries that over into the newer era with his process buddies. In fact, he spent every day at the Manson trial, and somehow him and their pal Dennis Hopper got him and Dennis got a one-on-one for Dennis with Charlie during the trials for a couple hours. That's weird.
Well,
In the
Polanski incident was at his house.
Where's he from? JJ?
We don't. Well, I think he's originally from New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. But we don't know a lot about his heritage. Who's his daddy? What does he do? We don't know who his daddy is in general. They don't even claim to know who his daddy is. He grew up thinking his mother was his sister, and that the lady he thought was his mother, is actually his grandmother.
Yeah, he had a little bit of that Bobby Darin sort of situation there.
Yeah. But look how important this dude's been in so many events in Hollywood throughout the years. And I have to imagine, much like I claim that his buddy Brando did, because him and Brando shared the same driveway there off of Mulholland at the mouth of Laurel Canyon. And in fact, when Brando died, he bought up the house and burnt it down, because a lot of folks died in the Brando house. A couple murders there, no big deal. And then there was that 13-year-old that got raped on his couch, you know, that whole Polanski incident, you know what I mean?
Well,
Brando.
I'm just gonna give a little what do you call it? Preemptive of the offer, because the one thing that I find
You mean Cocaine Bob Evans? You know, his best buddies that you're talking about?
one of the things that I find really odd about that is that they go out of their way to mention Chinatown in that fucking movie, or that miniseries, at least a dozen times.
Thank you. I picked up on that too, so I think that's a very important
water conspiracy. Yeah. So that kid did
just think about what that plot line is, right? What is the plot line to Chinatown? You have John Huston, this pedophilic kind of billionaire running the social club business. And again, Nicholson was dating Houston's daughter, Angelica Houston, you know, and allegedly, you know, he had a lot of sex with his daughter.
Wait. Angelica Houston was at the rape too, though, right? And she got fucking everything disappeared with her name, because didn't she testify in the absentia case or whatever? But she was there.
Sir, they all know each other. That's my position until proven otherwise.
Yeah, no,
she
was at the Polanski event with De Niro.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. But speaking of the offer, they, you know, infamous, and not my kinfolk, but he and I have common kinfolk, you know, because he's from Logan, West Virginia. Typical, right, Landon? Philip Van Adder, the man who would plant Orenthal James Simpson's blood across numerous crime scenes. No big deal. We'll just walk around the crime scene with blood from the victim and the suspects, and we'll just, you know, we'll be missing some blood when we get back. It's standard protocol here at LAPD. But he was the man that would arrest Roman Polanski in 1977 for that rape of that 13-year-old, the one that, you know, Polanski skipped out on, is hiding out in France still today. And he did so at the Chateau Marmont, which was owned by former CIA guy, Rand Corporation guy, and Cocaine Bob's fellow co-producer there on the Godfather series, you know, along with the Colombo crime family, right?
Canadian.
Oh, is he Canadian, dude?
Canadian and creator of Hogan's Heroes and Rand Corporation employee.
Whitney Houston's dad was John too, right? His name was John, I think.
Well, then you got the John D. Rockefeller, John J. Astor, John J. McCloy. There's a lot of Johns out there.
John Pierpont Morgan. Yep.
No, like these characters, I think, again, like when we're looking at all these characters around the Godfather, or you know, Cocaine Bob himself, Mr. Process there, who would later get arrested for the murder of Roy Radin while he was an unindicted co-conspirator, thanks to Charlie Manson's friend, then District Attorney Ira Reiner. But he got arrested with the Medellin cartel's #1 person in America, Karen Greenberger, Laney Jacobs there. After it was her husband was the #1 guy. She murked him a couple months before that. She's currently being investigated for that, apparently.
Karen Greenberger.
Yeah, Karen Greenberger. You won't find much about her. They got no pictures. They basically deleted her and Roy Mincer, the hitman for the deal, out of the interwebs. But Cocaine Bob didn't get charged. He was an unindicted co-conspirator. They let him plead the fifth. I don't know how the fuck that happens, but when you're like, oh yeah, you're being indicted, you're up here to testify. Oh, I plead fifth. Oh well, they didn't know what to do. Literally, it was a weird legal quagmire they found, because no prosecutor is going to put themselves into that normally unless you're Charles Manson's friend, because these fuckers all each other.
Or you're that one lady, JJ. My client is guilty, but not for the reason.
Well, they needed Judy Clark in that deal for sure. But no, I mean, look, we get Cocaine Bob with the Medellin cartel. I mean, when we're looking at Iran Contra, I mean, besides Manuel Noriega, but we know a lot of it's coming from the Colombians.
Oh,
wait till we get Escobar and Carlos Later and all those guys.
Wait till we get into Cassandra.
Yes, sir. So, as a character like Jack, might have believed that Jack. No one knows who Jack Nicholson's dad is. Is this real life? You know what I mean? He seems like a character that's propelled to this position. Let's take for example Emmanuel Macron. You know what I mean? I'm not saying they're the exact same. I'm saying they have a very similar kind of shady background. They're propelled out of nowhere to things, right? I mean, he was put at the forefront of all of Hollywood at a very early stage, and I'm not going to say I've not enjoyed a Jack Nicholson film. I'm just saying, is he really that talented?
Right. Gavin Nazi Newsom is another one.
That's what I'm saying, dude. So who's your daddy? What does he do? I think that's in large part. It seems to be
Justin Trudeau Castro.
Yes, Landon, sir, as you often point out, their daddies are never a plumber.
Castro.
Yeah, their dads can never be a plumber. That's the common factor we found out with anybody that's dealing with these characters. They're always
what's his dad do? He works at the local electrical union. You know what I mean? That's never the case. That's never the case.
Hey, Landon, you may not know.
Pipe fitter.
Landon, you may not know this.
Do what,
Landon,
Jonah?
you may not know this because you may not know this because you're a little bit younger, but Justine Castro's mother abandoned him, went to be a co-core at Studio 54. And if you do a search for Margaret Trudeau, you can see the pussy that destroyed Canada. Oh wait, just the pussy came out of.
I like to call Studio 54 the Process Church headquarters because that's what Roy Cohn was basically operating it as. It seems
that's Roy Cohn's bat cave, right? That's the bat layer they had.
Well, he didn't own it on paper, much like his mentor there. You mentioned Lucky Luciano, but Meyer Lansky, much like his probably mentor Meyer Lansky, it seems. He didn't own things; he owned people. And Roy owned Roy owned the owners of Studio 54. They were in debt to him over $500,000 for legal fees.
Rubel and Schrager. Yep.
There you go, sir.
They had Giuliani. He had Giuliani too by the cuff.
Giuliani, I think, was selective in his prosecutions. I think that's something.
What are you talking about? Giuliani absolutely had nothing to do with
He's an American hero, sir.
He had nothing to do with making all the steel disappear to China with Robert Mueller.
Bro, the crazy thing about Giuliani is it's the anthrax shit, dude. He owned the damn cleanup company that was cleaning up after the anthrax scare. That's who was cleaning the shit up, was Giuliani's company.
Really?
You ever see
I did not know that, so that's
picture?
Interesting.
You ever see the picture of Giuliani where he grabbed the Hell's Angels vest out of
I'll pull the name of
lockup?
That's
two
clean
things.
water
I have not seen that, sir. No, two things I have not seen that. Where do I find this picture?
I'll try to find it. No, he pulled a vest out of lockup and did a sting bust with wearing the Hell's Angels vest. So
Giuliani I find interesting for two reasons. It seems like he clearly beat a hooker on the side of a road recently. I'm not saying I was there. I'm just saying by the reports and the altering of those reports as they evolved, it seems like there's a hooker beating on the side of the road in New Hampshire, starring Rudy Giuliani, whose friend is Peter Hackett, who's a famed Oak Beach resident.
Peter Hackett.
There you go, sir. Back to your neck of the woods. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Giuliani's had a really deep interest, especially since they arrested Heuermann. I don't think Heuermann's the guy. I mean, he may be involved, but there's a lot more to that tale. What are your thoughts on Rudy Giuliani beating hookers or hanging out with men who beat hookers?
Dude, Giuliani had
the link in
they have a body.
If you want to bring it up.
There's a rumor they have a body, right? Him and what's his name? Roy Cohn. Allegedly,
I think who was it? AJ Weberman wrote about that in one of his books. He I don't know if I can say the title on here, but yeah, he wrote a book about Giuliani, and Giuliani, like the cover is Giuliani in a dress. I guess he had done some sort of costume party or something, and he implied that Giuliani was gay, and mentions that there's a dead body, that there's a murder or something that they have on Giuliani.
So you want me to believe, sir, that then U.S. Attorney Rudolph the Reindeer Giuliani and then U.S. Senator Alfonso, I'm going to call D'Amato, dressed up
He
as
was
Hell's
mobbed up.
Angels and bought crack? Is that what we're looking at here?
Yeah, Al D'Amato was
that's the
definitely mobbed up. Al D'Amato was definitely mobbed up.
This is ridiculous.
Well, Castanos and oh wait, no, it was just Amato, not D'Amato, right? Frank Amato, the Castanos.
Oh, the son-in-law.
Yeah, the son-in-law that got took out by Roy DeMeo.
All right, well, we don't have to belabor these incidents any further, fellas. I appreciate you playing my game of Who's Your Daddy, What's He Do with Jack Nicholson. We'll never know. I mean, he's not going to tell anybody. He's fathered about 13 and a half known children. I say half because that's one of those unknown unknowns. I'm sure there's more. These people are all sex cultists. Marlon Brando's the same way. Again, they shared the same driveway. They probably shared a lot more than that. You know what I mean? But what do we got here on Roy DeMeo and murder? What are we doing? Murder mysteries?
No, this is just the anthrax cleanup there.
Oh, my apologies, sir. Oh, this is Giuliani. Okay, can you?
Yeah, just. Yeah, let me see if I can.
I was unfamiliar with this, so let's look at that real quick before we press forward.
Where's my Zoom?
I think it's. I'm not there. I can't tell you.
The Control Shift.
It's perfect time for a break, though. I appreciate your timing, sir. It's great.
Hello, faggot lovers everywhere. I have a message for you from Birdseye. Birdseye faggots will appeal to your whole family. They've made them with lashings of gravy, but they've gone easy on the spice because kids don't like them too spicy, apparently.
I'm sure glad we left Britain in 1776, Jonah. I don't know about you guys up there, but that was good. I love the comedic timing, Landon. I try to find places, and when I put in the halftime later, if I forget to play it, I try to find in places like that where I'm looking for something or somebody's looking for something, and you're like, oh, and then you get that afterward.
Okay,
so it's good stuff.
Wait,
Comedy gold.
Did we ever leave them up here?
I don't know. I don't think so. Did you guys still have the queen on your money, aren't? Or is some guy in drag? Maybe I don't know what's going on there.
And then we have some black woman on the $10 bill.
Yeah, it makes sense, right?
Some random black woman who is like a historical figure.
So
basically, it was just he got the.
What is Giuliani up to here?
Contract.
I'm into him being a hood rat shit. It seems pretty obvious on his face, but I didn't know anything about this.
He just got after the anthrax attacks. Where was it? In the congressional building, I think was the first one. Either way, Giuliani got contracts. Right. Giuliani got he got the initial contracts for the cleanup process of anthrax.
I think on 9/11, one of the exercises, bipod, something like that. I think they were running an exercise, or were set to run an exercise in and around World Trade Center 7. Which is where they had.
No, that's where they had the task center that they shut down the task center to actually do the recovery, etc. So they built that whole building. They put the task force in there, and then they shut the task force down when the attack happens.
It's funny enough. His emergency management guy, Shearer, I went to school with his nephew, and I remember.
Are you from up there, Vic? Are you from New York?
I'm from Long Island, but I went to school in Albany, and one of my eventual roommates, his uncle was Shearer, and I remember him saying, "Yeah, I got to tour the emergency headquarters," something like that. He was talking about the pole that his uncle had, and I was like, "Okay." And then it only came back years later. I was reading what was the guy's name? Wayne Barrett, a journalist who I think was Village Voice, who wrote about Giuliani and how he believed Giuliani mismanaged the 9/11, the response or whatnot. So, but yeah, I remember reading about Shearer and all those guys.
So jumping into this is from the introduction, the epilogue, the prologue. And I just wanted to throw this up first because it's the quote from John Gotti. So no one really knew DeMeo was until John Gotti was. So it's the first paragraph there. It says they were the scariest people we've ever seen. Just in Roy's crew, there were 5 people you'd have to call serial killers. And then it goes down here where they actually have FBI surveillance audio where John Gotti and his brother Gene are like a bunch of bitch asses and afraid to take on Roy because they have an army of killers. But so what I did with this, just for everyone who's watching, you know, when you say, oh, well, what do you mean 5 people you'd have to call serial killers? So I went to Wikipedia. And I just went down to the bottom of
all knowledge
DeMeo.
on the interweb, sir. That's a good spot. That's a good spot to start from, man.
Yeah, no, but I mean, they're going to at least put together a decent list. And obviously, like there's some of these ones that are big, famous ones. You'll see on the right hand there, Mickey Spillane is there. You know, the 44-year-old that's there. And Andre Katz is the first one.
So how does that go down with Spillane? I forget the details on that one. My interject, sir, because that's an interesting tale. So, because again, they use the Westies, and they did have a civil war almost popping off there, and it seems like the I-Tie mob there, the Cosa Nostras, they get in there and they kind of, you know, they play, you know, they do the marionette thing like the Godfather.
Wait. Mickey Spillane, that was over Danny Grillo, who is
Danny Grillo,
one who gets killed. But the one you're looking for, Michael DiCarlo, earlier that I couldn't find. He's the bottom one on that right screen.
Okay, nice. No, but so they were warring against the fellas there in the Hell's Kitchen, there, right? What was the Italian mob there that I can't think of right now? The Vinny the Chin.
Genovese family. Well,
thank you, sir.
With Spillane, so Spillane and Coonan were different. Like really, the Westies. Like Spillane was an Irish gangster from that area, but the Westies was really Coonan, Featherstone, Jimmy McElroy, Kevin Kelly, all these guys, Billy Beattie. But in how when DeMeo kind of brought them over, one of the murders that's actually attributed to the DeMeo crew is Charles Ruby Stein. Ruby Stein was I believe he was a loan shark, and I believe
that's the bottom on the left hand side.
Yeah, Paul Castellano wanted to know who had, if they had Ruby Stein's book, his book of clients, and they get summoned to a meeting, and Featherstone and Coonan go in, and they tell their crew, we're going to this meeting. If we're not out by a certain point, I want you to go in blasting. Not realizing their crew would go and get stoned and be completely useless, but they go into this meeting. They deny any sort of knowledge about Ruby Stein, and Castellano basically says, okay, you're under our protection, but no more unauthorized murders.
Okay, so controlled hits then, right?
Pretty much, even though the Westies would still
controlled by the commission or controlled by who, though? We talk.
I think anything that was, I mean, it would have to be something the Gambinos were okay with. The Westies at one point, well, Spillane's crew at one point, some of whom defected over to Coonan at one point, were doing kidnappings of mobsters. Now, they always talk about the one that got John Gotti made, which was Jimmy McBratney, who I've never really been heard of as actually a Westie, just an Irish gangster, and Emmanuel Manny Gambino, who was Carlo Gambino's nephew. And instead of turning Gambino over, someone murdered him, and they still took the money, at which point John Gotti and a guy named Ralphie Galleone go out and try to kidnap McBratney, but then they shoot him instead, and that led to Gotti doing 2 years at Greenhaven, which I believe might have been where George Young did time. And the only reason why I got 2 years for involuntary manslaughter is because his great lawyer, Roy Cohn, got him a deal.
I hear he's a great guy, that Roy Cohn.
Is this Jack Rubenstein's brother here? What do they got the kosher mob? Why are they doing the hit on the kosher mob here?
Ruby Stein was powerful. I mean, he was a powerful loan shark, and that was part of the whole reason why.
But he was.
Castellano wanted to know who whacked him.
Was he a Drew? I guess he was Drewish.
Yes,
but I switched over there because you see here, it's not just.
I just want to do an Operation GCD invasion real quick, Sir Jonah.
Okay.
You mean to tell me this man right here, Roy Cohn's a bad guy?
Absolutely.
What do you think about his little boy over there? What do you think he's doing there?
I love the beautiful lady to his right.
Man, did you see like the whole fucking thing where he looks like he had he looks like he's a stroke patient at 9/11? Then they put out that fucking AI video for the Charlie Kirk memorial or whatever. It's like, oh, what's going on there? But What I'll do, jump in here. I went to the next screen because it's not just so that whole first screen is just one set of the murders that they're saying they did.
Yeah.
But the real interesting thing that I see here on this page, there's a couple of them. So the Charles Paddock, William Serrano, and 2 unnamed. So that's where Chris Rosenberg, who's a member of the crew, is basically taking on his DeMeo son. You know, he takes out Charles Paddock, then he also kills Jamie Paddock. But, so basically there was a whole standoff where the cartel was going to go to war with the Gambinos unless they fucking take out Rosenberg, which there's a really shit. You were talking about that movie earlier, Landon.
Yeah.
It's a really fucking shitty movie by Emil Hirsch called Inside Man, where it's allegedly an NYPD undercover. It goes under and stings the whole crew, and it's... only the murders in it are real. The whole storyline is like kind of out there, but so Chris Rosenberg was they're about to go to war with the fucking mafia, the cartels, and the cartels are like, no, he better be taken out, and he better be taken out in a public way. So they fucking threw him in his passenger seat, lit the fucking car up with automatic rifles after they already shot him in the head.
Seems pretty effective.
Jonah, the one thing I'll add too, don't forget there's the one point when DeMeo thought the cartels were coming after him, and it leads to
that's Dominic. Yeah, that's Dominic Rigucci, the one between the Padnicks and the Chris Rosenberg.
Yeah, the poor vacuum cleaner salesman who gets whacked.
Hey! It was Electrolux. It was not Rainbow or Kirby.
Sorry. not even Hoover.
Is all in my mind, from my reading the files and stuff, and my taking on all this stuff, just none of this is going on without this guy, right? Is that the correct analysis?
Yeah, he was the so for the whole up until 77 when they opened up the books, but they've been running fucking. So Roy got his whole crew going. The first time that Nino meets Roy already has more money than the fucking maid man, and he's living down the street from Gambino. So Gadget's like, oh, well, I'm gonna take him on as my apprentice. So that's kind of at least the official story of how they got involved. And then
he wants a nice show pony, right? He wants a nice Roy DeMeo show pony.
Well, no, he also wants it. He also wants his kickback, right? So
that's what I'm saying. He's the one making the money, right? He's the one bringing in the cash.
Yeah.
So how does a man like Roy DeMeo, if I may, also, besides, if we were to give folks, he's obviously a serial killer. He was a major figure in the Gambinos. John Gotti and Sammy the Songbird were, afraid of him.
Yeah.
But how does a man like this get connected to selling cars to Saddam Hussein?
I don't think it was Saddam Hussein directly.
It's Kuwait.
Oh,
my bad. How's a man like this get involved with selling cars?
Some Arab that came over, and he's one of
it's
Dowd.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. He's the one that gets murdered.
Wait a second, sir. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Did you say Daoud?
Daoud, yeah.
That's the Jordanian royal family. That's not just some Arabs.
No, like the one from Kuwait is the one that gets murked.
I'm saying I think they're probably cousins. Then I'm just saying
with some poor bastard who was with them too.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I'm saying, well, we look at a situation like the Kuwaiti affairs here in the early '90s with Norman Schwarzkopf and all those Muppets, and then the Desert Storm business, whatever that was about. We see them that gets kicked off by the Kuwaiti royal family, sending in their niece, one of the members of their family, into U.S. Congress, saying that she works at a hospital in Kuwait, and that they've been spiking them dead babies on the ground, and that we got to go in there and stop them Iraqis and Saddams. And we later find out, well, no, she was never a nurse. She's the daughter of the ambassador from the Kuwaiti royal family to America, and they hired the Hill Knowlton PR firm to perpetrate this fucking nonsense. So when you say Daoud's, I'm like, well, there's probably a lot more to that one. I'm not familiar with that background, but that rings familiar in the name at least.
Could always be a connection.
It's kind of funny, though. So Schwarzkopf's father was the first New Jersey state police officer too, and there was something I'm looking it up right now because there was something else that was fucking seriously dirty about his father.
That's interesting, sir.
Lindbergh.
Like Schwarzkopf, it makes you wonder where he came from, huh? I'm just saying.
Yeah, he was involved in the Lindbergh case. Schwarzkopf dad.
No shit. All right.
Okay,
Well, that got even far more interesting.
Hold
Thank you.
on. Let me bring it full circle just to something we mentioned earlier, and I might have mentioned it to you, JJ. So a few weeks ago, I went to a book signing out in Riverhead, Long Island, with an author named Steve Wick. Steve Wick wrote Bad Company about the Cotton Club murder.
Yeah, starring Cocaine Bob Evans.
And he has a new book out that's a fiction book. And we got to talking. It was just me and him. And we started talking about the Lindbergh case. And he told me, he's like, Lindbergh did it. He's like, I'm convinced Lindbergh did it. That Lindbergh killed his own kid. And yeah, that was very interesting, very smart guy. I wish I had more time to talk with him about Lainey Jacobs, Karen Greenberger, and that whole aspect. He's a writer for Newsday, Long Island newspaper. He's written about a bunch of nonfiction. This was his first foray into fiction. But yeah, I mean, that book, Bad Company, I love that book. But yeah, the Schwarzkopf's dad was involved in that case. And they said in the end that a lot of people believe that Hauptmann just somebody gave him the money and that was it.
Oh, I remember what the other one, the controversy that he was an advisor to Shah Reza Pahlavi.
Totally normal, sir. Totally normal. In fact, that guy's death is not suspicious at all, so we shouldn't even look into these matters.
Who is this?
Anyway,
the Shah.
The Shah of Iran. He was an advisor to the Shah of Iran after World War II.
Well, here's a fun fact, if I may. Here's a fun fact, if I may, considering these matters we're discussing here tonight with these Cosa Nostra fuckers. So, and there's in fact, here's a plug for a new upcoming bullshit documentary on Netflix. So they're making a film about the murder of David Berkowitz, allegedly murdering. Didn't mean to do that. A lady by the name of Wendy Savino, or attempted murder. My apologies. They don't even have any evidence of that, so their soldiers trying to put it all on them. But anyhow, her husband was not only a weird, mobbed up politician dude there in Yonkers and Bronx regions, he also ran a private detective agency that did private security for the children of the Shah of Iran. What the fuck is going on in this Muppet world?
Oh wow, this is Lucky Luciano.
Why do we have characters associated directly with this same mob scene, the same son, the same scene we're talking about, and they go right back to the fucking Shah of Iran and they're doing security for the Shah of Iran? Where does that phone call start?
Well, JJ, for some reason, all these glow companies, they're kind of all look at Wackenhut. They're all these security companies, G4S.
And Wackenhut was former law enforcement.
Hood rat politician dude, right?
Right.
Nice.
Well,
you're making a good point, sir. But this
Phil,
is
former CIA, not former state law enforcement.
I mean, E. Howard Hunt was always former CIA. I think he was CIA until he breathed he took his last breath. I think he was still spinning. I mean, his last thing was supposedly about the JFK assassination and who he implicated. I'm like, I think he was still spinning.
I think his son is still spinning lies, those same lies today, sir. So
St. John, I'm more inclined to give credence to some of St. John than I ever would to E. Howard. But again, I said, you know what?
Yeah.
Everybody has got a story to tell. DeMeo's kid wrote a book, an apologia for his dad.
Yeah.
We know
who their daddies are, sir. We know what they did. So that's all I'm saying.
Wait.
Don't fall from the tree. You know what I mean?
Which family had dirt on Hoover?
A fantastic book.
Who do we got?
Sorry, what was that?
I said, who do we got?
I want to hear. You go ahead, Jonah.
I didn't hear the question. Sorry.
I just asked who had the blackmail on Hoover? What family was that?
Well, they said it was. I've heard either Lansky or Frank Costello. However, I'm more inclined to believe it was James Jesus Angleton of the CIA family.
I have not heard that
not
one.
Danny's
sir.
neighbor,
please,
right?
That was more
there you go, Danny
intelligence.
Cathlero's neighbor. There you go. Please elaborate. I like the sound of that.
I think. I mean, now when you talk about J. Edgar Hoover, did not like the idea of anyone encroaching on his territory. He thought the FBI should be doing what before CIA OSS with William Donovan. Stay the fuck out of my territory. Like he didn't like the fact that Roosevelt did that, created the OSS.
Right.
He hated Donovan. I'm sure he was digging up information on Bill Donovan, and he did, and that's why Bill Donovan was not the first director of Central Intelligence.
Wasn't he gay though too, Hoover?
Hoover? Oh, yeah. Him and Clyde Tolson is his assistant director. There was a congressman who later on, I think it was Gallagher, the guy's name was Cornelius Gallagher, said the FBI director and his assistant are living as man and wife.
He's
I
great
guess
when he
they're all
smashes
kind
the
of
watermelons.
right, Bill? You know, these men of power seem to all kind of be gay. Just a common occurrence.
Well, dude, you ain't kidding, dude. That's the compromised positions. People don't understand. It's like there's if I may just quickly deter us, kind of back to that Charlie Kirk situation, because I don't know if y'all are aware of this. Cash Patel, our current FBI director, I think he invented the Cash App. That's his first name, Cash App. Anyhow,
did you see him say Valhalla? It was pretty cringe.
Dude,
Wait, it's not very cringe because India itself used to be an Aryan territory. Now now you have all the brown ones that even Kamala Harris is. Remember when I call her Malaka, right? You know, wanker and Greek, so I call her Malaka Harris.
Oh, that white lady from Canada.
When she released her fucking birth certificate, her mother listed, even though she's like a Brahmin, she listed her ethnicity as Caucasian. So a lot of those Indians, because of their rich historical ancestry, go back to the Indo-Aryans. It's not that odd to see him say Valhalla. Is all I was gonna say.
Yeah, I'm not too freaked out by that, and they're probably they probably do some weird Viking rituals together on the weekends. You know, they can do those Viking runs together, those 5Ks or something. I don't know, but anyhow,
I was thinking of Odinism, JJ. That was what came.
Well, I know, I want to give that for. I like where your head's at though. So are y'all familiar that Cash App Patel, the current FBI director of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, has been calling it in from Las Vegas, living at his Mormon billionaire boyfriend's house? This is real story.
Wait. He's got a billionaire boyfriend and he can't get his eyes fixed.
Everyone's talking about his Israeli facade beard because they're not talking about his billionaire boyfriend. He's gotten approval to not go to DC to work. He calls it in telecommuting from Vegas at his boyfriend's house.
He's not running anything. I mean, he's not running shit.
There you go, sir. That's what I was getting at. These are compromised individuals. He's a Muppet.
I'd rather have Mike Baker on Rogan.
Wait. Bongino
Baker.
Bongino is an honest man.
Oh, he's a hero. I'm sure. You know, here's the one thing that I've never understood why he gets any kind of credence whatsoever amongst any kind of folks. You know, he admits that he was on the Hillary Clinton personal security detail for years. Makes no mention of Hillary Clinton.
Bongino was also Obama's, right?
Bongino?
Dude.
Oh, yeah.
Google search. I challenge him in Google search 1990s photographs of Hillary Clinton. You will see a younger Dan Bongino. And we don't know what ethnicity he is. I'm not going to claim I do either. He's a very, he's kind of an ethnically ambiguous, younger version of Dan Bongino there in the background.
He's a Rexican. A redneck Mexican.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, he's obviously and dude's never said a damn word about what he's seen. Dude, you know much shit. I'm not saying he's seen Hillary Clinton eat babies, but they've done a lot of documented hood rat shit, dude. And this dude's well aware.
Dude, he smelt the sulfur. Smelt the sulfur.
I know. I'm not saying I've seen the Clintons do hood rat shit. I'm saying people do shit in front of your security or sentries that you don't necessarily expect those people to ever say anything, but nonetheless, they're taking. I was taking notes. I didn't see that shit, but I'm just saying. I was aware of my surroundings. There's no way that dude ain't around where more shit that he's seen the Clintons do.
For sure.
We've gotten more out of the Arkansas State Troopers that did, protective detail than we've ever gotten out of the Secret Service with the Clintons. The only thing I think I've ever heard about the Clintons in terms from Secret Service is how how Bill got inaugurated in '93, Bill and Hillary would toss insults at each other that were ethnic slurs back and forth.
Yeah, shocker.
I think a lot of fingers should be pointed towards the Secret Service too. There's not enough finger pointing. They're always in. They're as JJ would say, they're the greatest common determinator.
Greatest common denominator, sir. GCD. We're not Arnold Schwarzenegger here. We know who his daddy is. What he did too, though.
The last good Secret Service agent was Abraham Bolden. That the one good thing Joe Biden did was pardon him, and that was the guy who mentioned how the Kennedy detail basically, kind of left him vulnerable to getting shot. He was the first African American.
Let me add some insight to my experience of some of these activities. So a lot of times you got to consider the people that are hiring these positions are the fucking sick fucks. They're hiring sicker fucks who are dumber than them. for example, when I was spent my last part of my reserves, last part of my career, I was in a reserve unit. I got brought in, as a senior enlisted kind of fellow to kind of fix some shit there, kind of my expertise. And they didn't tell me how fucked up it was. And the chief that brought me in there, my boss, he was the chief enlisted guy. He didn't tell me that our commander was a cross-dresser, which I don't have fundamentally issues with that as long as it doesn't interfere with his service. He's not wearing a dress on duty, but he doesn't tell me. I'm in the airport because the dude I was in a unit in DC. I was flying out of DC, or whenever I had to go to reserves weekends or whatever, and this dude would fly to Atlanta. Well, he was a ranking ATF agent in Atlanta, and I'd seen this dude address at the airport, and I said, "Yo, Major, what's up?" He's like, "Oh, we had a normal conversation." I was waiting for him to say like, "Hey, what do you think about the dress?" He never fucking even brought it up, dude. I mean, I walk away, I'm like calling the chief, I'm like, "You son of a bitch. You knew about this the entire time." He's like, "Yeah, I was waiting for you to find out." This is like 3 months after I've been in the unit. But I'm just saying, like, a ranking ATF agent in Atlanta, I'm just saying, this dude's running around in dresses. He's not making great decisions in life. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Getting back on topic, though.
Cross-dressers and Fed agents. Well, let's before we get any further. When I was saying about Cash Patel, this event happens in Utah. Again, he's shacking up with a Mormon there. And
were you close to there, JJ? Have you ever been to that?
I'm in it, dude. I'm in it right now. I'm in the mothership. We've all been sucked into the mothership, Star Trek style. No, I'm nowhere near there, dude. I'm in Ohio, bud.
No, I know that. Have you been when you were in Utah?
Oh no, I've been to Salt Lake. Yeah, I've been to there. I've been to Temple. I recommend folks go check it out. Temple Square is wonderful. I mean, don't
How
go
far is
talk to
Heidi
people
from
there.
there?
Don't sign any paperwork, any billionaire contracts or nothing.
Right. she's from Utah too.
Yeah,
right?
everyone's you're either from Provo, so you have all these like Sandy, all these other towns around there. It's all either Salt Lake, Provo, or St. George, really, or Kanab if you're part of the process landing. So why is it to me that seems like whoever planned this? I mean, obviously, dude died. I mean, look at the video, right? Bounced off his vest. I'm going to hear a lot from Kane in the chat.
Good movie.
Kane B declares that sharpshooters are a dime a dozen. I tell him he's preposterous. As I mean, I am one myself, but he didn't take much. He did wear a bulletproof vest. That seemed to have been possibly his downfall, sadly. But you can't really predict that. But whoever planned this event seems to have watched the film Snake Eyes.
Dude, this is a good movie.
And reenacting that plot because they had all these distractions, right? So let's hear me out real quick. They had all these distractions like this dude right here, who apparently turned up in a previous 9/11 propaganda piece, apparently, this Howard Zinn fella, who was one of the first guys apprehended. If you see the film Snake Eyes, that's what happens. You have the assassin, and then you have all these other guys who are creating a scene. They're an old guy, a homeless guy, and a lady, right? Those are the three distractions. Yeah. I feel like we had we had two people arrested. We had another guy on a roof. Did someone watch the film Snake Eyes? Or are they Nicolas Cage fans that are planning these events?
But is he related to Howard Zinn, the Frankfurt School?
I was thinking. I actually thought that's the name. I just saw that this evening. I didn't get a chance to get into the whole event much. I just thought from the elements I have seen. Again, I don't know a lot of the details. I've seen the video. Obviously, I
thought they were going George Floyd, that old guy, for real.
Have you seen the?
That's what I'm saying, dude. What was the beef with the guy? I haven't figured that out yet. So go ahead.
Have you seen the one video where as soon as he gets shot and everyone's running, there's one guy, like this white dude with a beard. He turns around, starts jumping around, like he's like jumping.
And he was saying USA. That's what he said.
He's a Mormon TikTok influencer. That's what I'm getting at. When old Cash App Patel, not the inventor of the Cash App, but the FBI director. Yeah, that is his name though. Cash App.
So I just dropped. Brian De Palma's birthday is September 11th. The director of Snake Eyes.
No shit. So they used his plot line from his film, his shitty film, but I enjoyed watching it. I've seen it more than once.
But he makes movies about misdirection.
A classic, JJ.
Blowout. How about another one? I was just thinking of this movie with originally who they thought the shooter was, Dressed to Kill. Dressed to Kill. So, spoiler alert: the killer.
Refresh my brain, sir.
I've seen it. Don't do it.
Well, it's someone in drag.
Oh, okay.
It is a very famous actor in drag.
Oh, yes, Michael Caine. That's another Brian De Palma film. What's going, dude? Has The Matrix Is Brian De Palma films come to life in the Matrix now? Is that what's going on here? Muppet World.
Brian De Palma is a damn good director, and they kept trying to say he stole off Hitchcock, but I mean, he made some good movies.
Yeah, I was talking shit before there, Landon. I can't say I disagree with either of you gents. I like Snake Eyes as well.
Are you guys fans of Tim Robinson, the comedian?
I've heard of Tim Robinson. I've never seen
only if he's in Snake Eyes with Nick Cage.
No, he's hilarious. He's got this new show. It's called Friendship. It's actually pretty funny. I think you guys
isn't that Paul Rudd? Isn't Paul Rudd in that too?
Paul Rudd's in it too. And he's talking Tim Robinson. He just like goes ape shit on the guy. They're talking like Marvel spoilers, and he just went crazy. I was just thinking of that, Phil, when you were trying to spoil that on me.
Spoiler alert.
Since Phil brought up the September 11th birthdays, I'm just going to say my younger brother was murdered by our government, medical suicide. He was actually born September 11, 1980. So he was 21 years old that day and couldn't get into Detroit to go drinking from Winter. He was so pissed off about that. But I don't condemn. I don't condone, but I corrupt. Drinking from Winter because he's 21. It was his 21st birthday when the towers came down.
They don't have. I can help you out there, sir. Landon, they don't have heat in Canada. They just drink. They stay warm.
No, I said from Windsor. From Windsor. So it was.
Yeah,
was I thought
Windsor.
I know what you mean. He thought you meant winter. I was just playing it.
I thought you meant winter.
No, Windsor. I got
I just saw Landon's confusion. I thought I was just trying to make a Canada joke there.
Just want to add a quick point. So, Jonah, you were mentioning the bad movie in relation that was connected to, what was it, the DeMeo crew or something like that? Something
Man.
So when I mentioned Iceman, David Schwimmer plays a version of Chris Rosenberg in that movie, in the Iceman movie, where like they're trying to figure out who's gonna kill him. So Ray Liotta plays Roy DeMeo, Michael Shannon plays Richard Kuklinski. And I think Robert Davi, great character actor, has been in a shit ton of my movies. Also in Die Hard, Agent Johnson. And they're trying to, decide what to do with, because Rosenberg, the heat that they're going to bring down. I mean, in the end, Castellano would have had them all killed. Because I think
James Franco's in this, sir. I've never seen this.
One of these
buttered sausage in it.
As crappy as this movie is, because it doesn't adhere to any version of the truth, I don't think. Franco, at one point, Michael Shannon, who's not as crazy in that movie as he is and everything else, basically says, "Okay, pray to God. If God comes down and saves you, I'll let you live." And Franco doesn't get that luck, and I'm okay with Franco dying in a movie because he's a horrible actor. And he's a horrible person.
Well, not only that, dude, I've got a lot of beef with him, sir. I got a lot of beef with him over his matters of what he did to the Ultimate Evil and more.
Oh, yeah, how he fucked over Maury Terry, definitely.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, there's no way that I wasn't there, so I'm going to put that out there right now. I have no idea for facts, but I have to imagine that Maury Terry did not sign over his life's work to be made into an HBO documentary or HBO film or series with James Franco's production company, only to find Franco then make a YouTube series out of the Ultimate Evil, making Maury Terry the villain where he dies in the end. Like, I don't think that's how the deal went down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he takes the Ultimate Evil, makes that fucking pornography thing, the deuce, about the gay S&M scene around these same mobsters that's mentioned in the Ultimate Evil. The Anvil. Okay. Particularly, that club in particular reminds me of filth and destruction of our society.
In the private chat there, I did drop the link to that shitty movie on Tubi if anyone wants to fucking post it for the comments. But
what happened to Emil Hirsch? That guy's shit.
How is Steven Seagal connected to this?
Yeah, I mean, he's only the best actor ever, if that's what you're asking.
Steven Seagal, I mean, if we're talking mob, we got to bring...
I'm glad you
We got to bring the Gambinos back. Oh, Robert Davi's in that too.
Well, he had a made Gambino guy like on his paid staff or something, right? And then he had the Iran Contra guy in his movie, right? That was made by Arnon Milchan, another Iran Contra guy.
Robert Booth Nichols.
Hold up. Time out. What? Hold up. Go back 10 steps. What does Robert Booth Nichols have to do with Steven Seagal?
He's in Under Siege. Robert Booth, Steven
And that's
Seagal,
produced by Arnon Milchan,
Robert
the
Bruce
Iran
Nichols?
Contra guy.
Yes. He is in
No.
I swear to God, he is in.
We might be
one
getting
of
our
the
nickels
scenes.
conflated there, sir. Phil, we
No,
might be.
this is-
I always get my nickels conflated here. There's two nickels in Cabazon. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
No, not John Phillip. No. This
No,
is Robert. Bruce
Robert,
Nichols.
the
Bruce,
hitman.
you're right. Okay, you're
Robert
right. I'm
the
wrong.
Hitman.
JJ.
You are
JJ,
correct.
I'm going to give you another recent and bring it all together. You know who he looks like? Clark Gable. That has been the description
Oh
about
shit,
Robert Bruce
dude,
Nichols.
you're right. He does look
So,
like Clark Gable.
I did just
Holy
watch.
shit.
I just watched Striking Distance today in terms of your last show. But
Who did
Robert
I say,
Bruce
JJ,
Nichols.
that he looked like? Robert Bruce Nichols. Me and you discussed this last time we were on. Crap. It was on our last show.
The man who
You'll
died
find
with
that-
the with the $250 million treasury note in a safe deposit box.
Yeah, he
and
deserved the
Booth,
name Danger Man a little bit more than Rakana Shudo, if you ask me.
Yes. Well, when Casolaro was bouncing his theories off, I think he reached out to a FBI agent named Thomas Gates, and Gates told him Nichols is connected to the Gambinos and the Yakuza. You need to be careful. Yeah, no, that's exactly how he looks in Under Siege. He is like in the government's response. Because one of the other characters
Sir, he works for the National Security Council. That's where I assert all of this tomfoolery starts from in the first place.
He's sitting at
We
the
have an
other-
Iran Contra guy
I know.
working. We have an Iran Contra guy who's doing the Iran Contra shit. The guy who makes the movie, Arnon Milchan, the producer, Iran Contra, and they're telling us stories about Iran Contra. There, in fact, in my opinion, I think I appreciate y'all bringing it to my attention. I had forgotten about this film, despite Steven Seagal's a fantastic, possibly the greatest actor ever. But I'm going to add this to the list for my film review. So I do appreciate y'all bringing this topic.
Question: who's heard of Anthony Pelicano?
Yeah,
I'm
the PI.
name.
Yeah, he was the PI.
The Hollywood PI that's
to
been
the
associated
Stars.
with all sorts of shit.
He popped up in it was called the Seagal extortion case because they said that the mob was extorting Seagal. I don't think so. I think Seagal was so full of shit. I think he just ran with the mob and the CIA, and the guy's name was Nasso. Julius Nasso was the guy who figured into the whole Seagal extortion case.
Is this MCA?
Robert Bruce Nichols was connected with MCA.
Yeah.
But then
MCA,
again, so was the Gambinos. There was a guy named Eugene Giaquinto, and there was a guy named Sal Pacello. Sal Pacello was, I believe, in the records area of MCA, like the music records, when they were involved in cutouts, which were like basically your bargain basement where just selling these for a certain amount. Sal Pacello, no one could recall who hired him. And Sal Pacello was with the Genovese family. And that's when, there was two guys who looked into it, a guy named Marvin Rudnick and a guy named Richard Staven. Rudnick's career was ruined. He was a U.S. attorney. I want to say Staven might have been a successor in that because that figured into Dan Molday's Dark Victory, and that was before Molday sold out and went with, wrote the, what's his name? The guy, Eugene Thane Caesar. And wasn't involved in RFK's assassination bandwagon.
Yeah, that's not even believable, right? With Molday selling there.
Yeah. And then there was a book called The Last Mogul about Lou Wasserman, who was up there and is in that picture, Lou Wasserman. And Last Mogul actually references
Lou Wasserman, real scumbag.
References Danny Castellaro. They talk about that. Dennis McDougal died about a year or so ago after a heart attack behind the wheel. He was in a bad traffic accident.
Well, that's convenient, right? This is a good article for folks of the interwebs want to check out some more of that topic. We'll steer this back to Roy DeMeo stuff here, but we do want to get into what was the Gambino then? So Gambinos and Pelicanos shook down Seagal.
That was the story. And actually, one of the people who tried to help exonerate Pelicano, Linda Fiorentino.
Oh, no shit. All right, the actress.
Yeah, like she wanted to make his life into a movie or whatnot. I mean, she faded away in terms of.
I was about to say she fell off the radar. Where did she go? She was kind of, I didn't find her acting good nor her attractive, but she was kind of the it actress for a while.
I think Dogma was like her last movie, so we're talking like 25 years ago. She went to Kevin Smith.
You mean where Alanis Morissette is Metatron?
There you go. That's an interesting topic for a future conversation. I love that film, by the way.
Yeah, when the Last Mogul talks about MCA, they were kind of infiltrated a couple different ways. Like at one point, they kind of speculated if there could have been a mob war between Eugene Giaquinto was involved in their home video distribution, which could have been bootleg movies for all we know, while Pacello is in the records aspect, but he's in a different family. Okay. Go ahead, Jonah.
But were they ever
No
really
way.
infiltrated when they started out as mafia anyway?
Well, when you consider
I agree with where you're at. This just been started.
Lou
This is baked in
Wasserman
from Hollywood in day one, right?
and Jules Stein, they were mobbed up probably from back when they were talent agents with MCA.
You mean Lou
He's in
Wasserman?
Full Metal Jacket. Robert Booth Nichols is in Full Metal Jacket.
I'm not surprised.
Oh,
That's what I'm
I
saying,
didn't know
dude.
that. Not a surprise.
He's a man of many mysteries.
And then you got to look. There's a book by a guy named Guy Lawson, which is about Sam Israel, the guy who ran Bayou Capital hedge fund. He becomes friends with Nichols, and he has already heard about The Last Circle, Sherry Seymour's book, but it wasn't a book yet. It was just a manuscript that was online because I remember reading it back in 2003, and him meeting Nichols and asking, "So you have a copy of the Kennedy assassination where the driver turns around and shoots him?" "Yeah, I got it. You want to watch it?" Like that whole thing. And then I think Nichols conned him in some form. And then when Israel was broke as shit, and I kind of find it funny that his name is Sam Israel, and right around that time you had Smoking Aces with Jeremy Piven, where the guy's name was Buddy Israel, and there's a whole bunch of deception in that entire movie, but that's just kind of weird in my way. But Sam Israel
That's
is
an interesting
basically
film, sir. That's an interesting film.
He fakes his death, writes "Suicide is painless" in dirt on his windshield, and then jumps off a bridge in upstate New York, but then faked his death.
Okay.
Yeah, there's weird stuff, and there's even a Tom Hanks connection into all of that too.
What's your opinion on her, Sherry Seymour?
I was about to ask you the same question, Orlando.
Okay, so I think with any researcher,
What'd you say, JJ? Sorry, you broke up.
No, I was saying I was going to ask the same question because I know you got some thoughts.
She gets a lot of invective, and I know some people think she's like either too far right or she's like a Fed or whatnot. I retain a healthy skepticism of anybody, but that book is a really good book. I think that book, her Last Circle book, goes further than what Ken Thomas and the late Ken Thomas and Jim Keith were able to do in their book. And I said, now, Jim Keith, and I'm going to use your words, JJ. Jim Keith got murked at Burning Man.
Oh, big time.
Back in '99. Ken Thomas, I actually did a review. I reached out and got a book of his, Trumpocalypse, years ago. But go ahead.
What did he die from, though? He didn't just die just of any kind of normal kind of term.
So he has a knee injury, and then when he goes in for surgery, he knows something's going to happen. And they say a blood clot got loose and killed him, to which the great, and he's still alive, Jim Haugen said, "A fucking knee operation?" Like, it made no sense. And Jim Keith was a guy who covered deep state parapolitics. I mean, he died September 1999. We're talking 2 years before Cooper gets killed. So many other things. There was a guy named Ron Bonds in between the guys of food poisoning.
Jim, if I may, sir, I believe the man you just mentioned there, who just passed, what was the author? Jim Keith. Not Jim Keith.
Ken Thomas?
Ken Thomas, thank you, sir. I read a piece from him he wrote years ago in his Steam Shovel Press where he connects these two murders together through a bacteria of a botch, some sort of the stuff, the tissue they got that was put into dude's knee in Nevada came from a lab in Atlanta, less than a couple miles away from the place that he got. That Bonds, right, gets poisoned by the same stuff in a taco place, right?
Yeah, I mean it's crazy.
The thing about the right narrative, there's like some connections there, right?
And Bonds, I think, died in 2001, and
it was like a couple years later, right? Yeah,
there was that whole epidemic where epidemiologists started dropping dead in and around anthrax before then. There's that too. So,
and then there was the CDC guy who got. There was also that CDC guy, Tim something, or they found his body in the fucking bush in the lake where it took him like
Don Wiley.
Yeah, it
Don
took him
Wiley,
like 3 days to dig him out, but he allegedly just swam in there and killed himself in it.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's insane. After a while, you're like, really? I mean, come on. But yeah, with Sherry Seymour's book.
How did those dudes die so close? You know what I mean? Like that's like as much stuff that gets talked about in conspiracy culture today. No one's really explored that further. The death of Ron Bonds and Jim Keith.
Yeah, I mean, you almost start to wonder: is there a point when they're like, shit, I can only push this far? It's one of the guys who got mentioned in relation to Danny Castellara, like someone, I think his name was in Castellara's book, was a guy named Bill McCoy. And Bill McCoy was Army CID. And Bill McCoy dies. And then within a short amount of time, everything is moved out of his house. And it's almost like no one lived there.
That's cool.
Oh, kind of like what was the homeboy in Pennsylvania last year, Thomas Crook's house? Like, oh, it's just empty. It's like laboratory clean. Like, what does that mean? Can someone please define what these statements mean? That doesn't make any sense. I
mean, I was thinking today, people were kind of speculating on the whole thing after Cash said, we got the guy, and meanwhile, it's like, well, his dad ratted him out. And my first question was, does his dad get the $100,000? Who gets the reward? But it's the line from Didn't Trump kind of just like insert into a press conference like, yeah, and we got the guy, and then everyone's like, what? Huh? Fox News. He was on Fox News, and
but Fox News. That's right. I saw him on the couch. So that's right. Yeah, there you go.
Might as well be. But it becomes the line from the movie The Firm. Wilford Brimley. I get paid to be suspicious when I got nothing to be suspicious about. Like,
you mean Mormon Wilford Brimley, who formerly, before was an actor, was a bodyguard for Howard Hughes? That's not weird. That's a fun fact about diabetes right there. And Wilford Brimley.
It's diabetes. Let's get it right. It's diabetes. Go ahead, Landon.
Phil, I was just going to say, Sherry Seymour, her husband was deep into that Vietnam underground cell. So
Phoenix program?
I can't confirm that, but I would suspect so. He was running spec ops over in Vietnam.
Didn't they say Bill Hamilton, who created the Promise software? I thought they connected him to an aspect of like Phoenix too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, thank you. I have so many questions about all these characters they're all controlling a very, very controlled narrative that everyone repeats today, but they're all very suspect. Bill Hamilton's super suspect. And then he hires homeboy who's with the Secretary of State for Ford. Who did he hire as attorney? I forget now.
Well, no, Elliot Richardson,
Thank you.
He was the attorney general who quit during Watergate. He wouldn't fire
there you go.
The special prosecutor. Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
Richardson.
He's a notable guy, right? Let's hire him to figure out this stuff, right?
You know what though? Right. He's one who kept no matter what. Like again, we could definitely. I think everybody we could kind of examine their motives, but he kept saying Danny Castellara was murdered. He wouldn't say suicide. Like there's other, and again, that even got brought up during like congressional hearings where some people are like, and one person
saying he knows who did it and he didn't like him, is what you're saying.
He was keeping the story alive, if anything else. But then again, what's his name? Michael Hands, was quick to say Frank Nugent was murdered. Nugent Hand. I mean, so sometimes you wonder, is it genuine or is it to try to just deflect off of your culpability? And to bring
that's where my head goes. That's the first thing I hear these things in my brain. I was like, what did you do, buddy? And why are you trying to deflect, right?
But just a quick thing, and I know Jonah will know this. So one of the murders I know attributed to the DeMeo crew are the Ippolitos, who connect with a bigger scandal, Lou Ippolito, who's him and his partner were murdering people for the Lucchese family.
You mean like Joey Ippolito?
What was it? Jimmy the Clam? There was two.
Joey was running the cocaine ops out in LA at the Brentwoods with a woman called James Simpson's. James Conn.
Go ahead, John.
The Ippolitos were father and son.
Yeah.
So there's James Sr. and James Jr.
They were involved in something that got connected with Rosalind Carter. Like it became something that popped up on 60 Minutes. And Paul Castellano, he didn't like to be embarrassed. Rosalind Carter had some bad press between the Jim Jones photo, John Wayne Gacy photo, and the Ippolito thing. Like, it was worse than anything the Reagan kids could have been involved with, posing for Playboy, being on Saturday Night Live, all this shit, or having their own brand of beer.
Or Lucchese's? Is that what we're saying?
No. They were Gambinos. Lou Ippolito later on in his book, Mafia Cop, says later on that he was called for a sit down where he was basically kind of given that sort of facts of life. Do you have a problem with this? Sort of thing. And, tough guy Lou was like, no, I don't have a problem. And then, meanwhile, he writes this book. And then later on, when him and Caracappa are working together, they're doing hits for Gas Picasso, which might have been, to a degree, an aspect of revenge, because later on they wound up killing a couple guys close to Gotti in relation to Gotti's unauthorized hit on Paul Castellano. Because Gas Picasso was not a friend of John Gotti. John Gotti's hit on Paul Castellano was unauthorized, and you had Vinny the Chin. That
got him the control of the family, right? He took over to the Gambinos, right?
Oh yeah, 40 years this year. Yeah, no, but he didn't get approval. I mean, you got to get approval to hit on a boss. But then again, truth be told, Gas Picasso and Vicamuso killed a guy right after the commission trial, a guy named Buddy Luongo. They didn't get authorization either. So really, it was kind of just, it's a farce. It's omerta. It's the bullshit that maintains, the line.
If you're going to go after the king,
we could tie that back in because it's kind of funny. Going back to the slide there where Landon brought up the Lucky Luciano. Now, there was the Gambino Manhattan faction, which was John Gotti. There was the Brooklyn faction, which was no Gambino. There's Manhattan and
no, Luciano. So Chicago, right?
No, Luciano was New York. Luciano. So just forgive me for a second. Luciano. When you originally had, right after you had the Castellammarese War, which ended in 1931. That was Joe the Boss Masseria getting killed April 1931. Salvatore Maranzano, which actually is right around this time, 1931. You had Luciano. You had Profaci. Yes. You had, I want to say it was Vince Mangano, who'd be killed by Anastasia, which would become the Gambino family.
Scalise. Scalise.
Well, because he was it Frank Scalise who got bumped down? Because then Scalise would get killed in 1957.
Yeah, Scalise got bumped down, but then he was Mangano's fucking underboss.
Yeah. Well, I think Gaggi, one of the guys who was involved in Scalise's killing, Gaggi was involved in the killing as a revenge hit. I think it was Squillante. Yeah.
Scalise is the cousin, so that's how he ties directly to Luciano.
Yep. And
how does Giancana connect with these guys?
Giancana was
he's Chicago.
A little bit younger, but Chicago.
That's JFK's boy, right?
To a degree.
You got to read his book by his son.
His brother and his godson. Yeah, that was a good one. Chuck and there's another Sam in there. But
what's the jackass that says he killed JFK? What's his name?
James Files.
James Files, yes.
Yeah. With Giancana, he pops up later on when there's rumors of a plot that Joe Bonanno was trying to consolidate his power, and he basically ordered the hit of, I think it was Gambino. I want to say it might have even been Tommy Lucchese and Sam Giancana. And then despite...
Is that when he hired Crazy Joe Gallo?
I heard it was Colombo. I heard it was Joe Colombo, and that Colombo gave him up because Colombo was a piece of shit.
I thought Gallo was involved in that mix too, kind of opposite Colombo in some sort of...
Gallo might have been in jail by that point. He might have been in jail.
Oh, yeah, because he already murked the boss, didn't he, before that, didn't he? Like maybe 63?
No, so at this point, the war, what's his name? Profaci had died, natural causes. Magliacco took over. He dies, but he's implicated with Bonanno's plot. He dies, I think, of a heart attack. Colombo takes over. Colombo gave up the plot. I think they kind of hinted that in the offer, actually, because Colombo was a rat. I mean, he was just as bad as Carmine.
I don't want to give a spoiler alert, but there's a lot of things about the offer. I think it's very relevant to these mob things today. Like they had the mobsters in the film, and the original Godfather they depict in the offer. We have a Gallo and Ippolito, and these are confirmed members of these families, by the way, in the Godfather.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, in the offer. I'm sorry, in the making of the Godfather.
And
what about Jack
Also,
Rubenstein? How does he fall in with these cats? I'm curious, Phil.
Jack Ruby. So here's the thing about Jack Ruby.
Jack Rubenstein.
So Jacob Rubenstein. So here's the thing. So there's so many people, including Jerry Capisi. Jerry Capisi basically says Jack Ruby, he didn't know the cops. He didn't know any mob guys. They wouldn't have bothered with him. Jack Ruby was out of Chicago. And I think he was involved with one of the unions there. The union head gets murdered. Jack Ruby gets sent to Dallas. And Jack Ruby he didn't just own, one nightclub. He owned like a couple nightclubs. He's moving down and he was involved in Dallas. There's a guy named Joe Civello. Joe Civello is one of the bosses down there. Benny Binion, who eventually owns the Horseshoe, he's in and around that area. But yeah, Jack Ruby was connected. He was, I believe, out of some of the books I've read, that he was definitely a friend of J.D. Tippett, the cop who gets shot allegedly by Oswald.
Guess who he rented the room from down there in Dallas? Mr. John Norman, to bring us back to our Gacy connection.
All right. I could see that. Well, it's funny.
Allegedly, a guy by the name of Jack Ruby was renting a room
telling
at the same time.
Julia from Cosmic Peach, one of my favorite authors, James Elroy, in his Underworld trilogy, basically says Jack Ruby fucked his dogs. That Jack Ruby was like a deviant. And I said,
oh, yeah.
Okay, definitely I can go with that.
Did you know?
I didn't know about he was dog fucking. That's interesting. So it kind of fits the mix with the rest.
Have you read Eye of the Chicken Hawk, Phil?
I haven't. I have not read it yet.
But this is my favorite.
It's on the pile. It's on the pile.
That shit's dark, brother.
Oh, it's super dark for sure. This is my favorite Jack Ruby fun fact that folks don't talk about. He was identified in an earlier memorandum to remain as an unidentified undercover investigator against communism for Richard Nixon. This is all documented, and people don't talk about it. So they have a lot of connections because Nixon was OSS, right? So he's going back with all the same group of folks around the whole Kennedy assassination. I mean, he's all up in the mix, but never really gets mentioned much for it. Outside of threatening the CIA director, saying we know you killed Jack, but I mean, there's a lot more to that tale, obviously. Jack Ruben, what I'm getting at is Jack Rubenstein, despite being probably a gay, apparently dog fucking strip club owner in Dallas, friends with a lot of characters, obviously, but was a well-connected man politically long before that. And allegedly, according to that same memorandum, it is Prescott Bush that was mentored to Richard Nixon when he was a young congressman that would be recommending him as his investigator. Your taxpayers hard at work, Landon. Not you, Jonah. You live in Canada, so let's get back to the serial killer Roy DeMeo we got on deck here.
Yeah, so I just pointed out here that with Roy DeMeo, he was under Gaggi. Gaggi was tied to Luciano directly, and then obviously, Luciano was the forerunner of the Gladio programs. It says here Lansdale operation in Philippines gave
fucking vampires, dude. We were talking about them vampires earlier tonight, dude. That's what I was talking about right there. Yes, sir.
But no, that's the so it's kind of funny too because like Luciano, you go back to it. Like Landon said, Luciano was in prison. Albert Anastasia and one other got him released so he could control the docks. But he was involved with the whole of Paul Halliwell and the original. So I kind of took some real quick. I kind of took some of the stuff from that there to Operation Gladio here. So it talks about how on this one, it talks about how Paul Halliwell came up with the idea to smuggle drugs to make money. Because he was actually working with the Kuomintang or whatever, Chiang Kai-shek in China back in the day. So this goes into that here. Yeah, so that's where the whole idea
That's
of
some
funding.
pre-China, right? That's some like pre-communism
Yeah.
China stuff right there, right?
Yeah. And again, Paul Halliwell created the what's it called there? He created the the Castle Bank and Trust, right? So you get the whole idea of the
That's the
the whole idea
predecessor
of
to this whole network, right? The whole
Yeah.
Nugan BCCI bullshit, right?
Yeah.
It's the whole
Yeah. So Paul Halliwell was first. He started the Civil Air, Civil Air, or what is it here? It's in here somewhere here. Civil Air Traffic or Civil Air. So that's the predecessor. Oh, sorry, there's Civil Air Transport from surplus aircraft, including the C-47, Dakotas, and the C-46 Commandos. So that's the predecessor to Air America, too, right?
Oh man,
And
you're on target, sir. You are on target. This is a barn burner. Like I said, these are some good details because again, we look at things like Iran Contra, but this shit's multi-generational. This has been going on. This hood rat shit's been going on a long time. They all fucking know each other.
Yeah. So then you'll see here too. They talk about the Luciano being brought into Cuba, where after he's been deported back to Sicily, and you see the list of names. He met with Frank Costello, Vito Genovese, Albert Anastasia, Meyer Lansky to discuss the Halliwell plan. So he is directly involved with at least according to the book Operation Gladio, and I forget the name of the author here, so I'll go back real quick. Paul L. Williams, fantastic.
Yeah, he's
book
good.
here.
He's good.
So I just wanted to throw that in to bring the whole thing in, because when you're talking about the DeMeo crew and how pretty much everything they do aligns with the Gladio programs, well, Nino Gaggi is tied directly to Luciano through Frank Scalise. Ironic side note, Bernie Sanders, the classmate of
And potential Zodiac killer. And potential Zodiac killer.
His Bernie bro shot Senator or Congressman Scalise in the head.
That's,
so that's
right,
just an
dude.
interesting side.
Yeah, suddenly the all members of Congress are going to go play softball in Alexandria. I know that field they're at right now. I used to live in an apartment right down the road. They're going to go play softball with unsupervised with no security. Get the fuck out of here, man. These stories are ridiculous.
Yeah. So this next one that I brought up, I wanted to bring in the fact that
Steve Scalise, he got popped though. I mean, like,
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, he legitimately got popped. You agree, right? Yeah. Like he looked like he got shot. You know, I mean, that was a real deal, right?
Well,
yeah, no,
he
also got shot.
He definitely got shot, which is kind of funny because that cunt Judy Clark is also the one who defended the shooter of Gabby Gifford.
Oh, Loeffner.
Lee Loeffner. What a joke of a fucking situation. You meant that you're not spot on, sir. That was a hit on that federal judge, if you ask me. And Gabby Lee Gifford, she didn't get shot. That's bullshit. That's what I'm saying. Steve Scalise got shot. He exhibited the fucking injuries. She's out there like 6 or 8 months later, just giving a speech on Congress floor after getting shot in the head. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and her husband, astronaut, gets to Congress after she dies, isn't it? From the injuries allegedly.
What a hero, dude! He's one of our space heroes, dude. What are you talking about?
Isn't that Kelly?
Yeah, but I wanted to jump back in here.
Kelly or Tom Kelly or something Kelly.
Yeah, I wanted to jump back in. I wanted to jump back in here because. Like I was saying, that Roy DeMeo was making so much money that, Nino took him on because he was running shit. But you look here, in 1972, he joined the Borough of Brooklyn Credit Union. And he does the whole fucking CIA Gladio move where, they swindle the books. They start writing false checks, etc. And then when the IRS
so this is part of the Franklin. Where does this connect to the Franklin Bank scandal and the savings and loans?
This was way before. It was 1975.
So this is is this the first domino though in that?
Well, there's just to interject. There's another Franklin, but it's not a credit union that was run. It was Franklin National Bank that McKelly Sindona. So there is a Gladio connection with Sindona.
That's what I was talking to. Yes, sir. That's
what was Franklin Square. He bankrupted that bank because actually that connected to people
Franklin National.
And let's not forget, if we're talking about banks that are being defrauded.
Well, that goes right to the P2 Vatican stuff. So I mean, we're not far off of the mobster stuff because that's right there, and a lot of that. And who else is involved in that? Charles Bluedhorn, Old cocaine Bob Evans boss.
And
Well, I was going to say, go ahead.
Go ahead, John. There's a book I mentioned to JJ before, The Vatican Connection, and it has a Joe Coffey connection because he was involving a guy who I believe is doing. I think he was involved with. It was some sort of like cash or gold scam that connected to the Vatican, and I believe Marcinkus pops up into that. So that was like
Son of a bitch.
a tangential
Son
connection.
of
It
a
was
bitch.
written by a guy named Richard Hammer. Richard Hammer, I believe, co-authored a book about Luciano too.
And I just want to detour us too far, but when we're mentioning this Vatican Bank dude who just lived off in obscurity in Arizona in some retirement village south of Phoenix, there's hilariously a video of like a local reporter going down there knocking on his door, like trying to get an interview. I'm not making this up, and gets him on camera. Can you imagine if you're trying to get the dude who walked away from the Vatican Bank scandal, dude, and you're just knocking on his front door trying to get him on camera, dude? You got some fucking balls, friend. I don't think that guy worked as a cameraman much or newsman much longer.
And probably murdered Orlandi, the Vatican girl.
Yeah, no, there you go. I forgot about that one. That is an important detail as well.
Well,
I mean, Marcinkus was definitely a chicken hawk, I think, too.
Oh, it's part of the job, sir. It's on the resume. You got it. It's like number one. You got to check yes or no. If you check no, you're not hired. I'll tell you that much.
But if we're bringing up the Vatican Bank, can we talk about? Actually, we can't even talk about it because the corruption trial that the Pope just came in like, yeah, no, you can't call these witnesses. Yeah, no, we can't do that. No, we're gonna go to trial. You're still investigating. Fuck off. You're going to trial. But of course, yeah, I just see
you're Muppet World 2025, sir. We all work for the United Nations, so you are correct. We cannot talk about it.
So I just up here, I just did a quick.
I'm saying the nature of free speech these days is getting pretty.
Yeah, I got it. No, I'm trying to keep us on track there too, because I still got a bunch of other shit in the go. We really need to get into Cassandra stuff, but
no, I appreciate that. Yes, sir. Please go. Please continue.
So this is just like the quick grab of the Roy DeMeo shit.
Yeah, we'll drive this thing right off his track right now, Jonah.
I didn't want to. And this here, so this is what I said earlier. If you look here, this is September 3rd of 1983. This is like the first document that appears in the Roy DeMeo FOIA, but he was literally dead in January of '83. So that's kind of just and I put that there here. So January 10, 1983.
Yeah. So let's take a quick, not a detour, but let's take a quick sidetrack on how did he die? What's that tale about?
He got shot in the head, and then he got stuffed back in his Cadillac. He had a fucking chandelier that he took out of his house to get fixed or whatever. So they threw him under the fucking Cadillac or under the chandelier, parked his Cadillac. They found his body freezing or frozen with his leather jacket wrapped around him a few days later, right? So.
Wasn't it after it was he disappeared during one of the kids' birthdays or something like that?
Yeah, it's daughter's birthday.
There was a period of he was missing for a period, and I feel like no one really gave a shit about the missing part or the murder part.
Yeah. I mean, so at this point, just to interject, so when they bring the trial, the eventual trial on the auto theft ring, the 25 murders, the head person at the indictment had to be changed at least twice. DeMeo. Gadji dies, I think, of cancer. I mean,
no. I'll correct you. DeMeo wasn't actually ever. So it was first U.S. versus Castellano. Castellano gets murked. Yep. Then during the trial, Gadji dies of a heart attack in prison because he was in prison for the first trial. So they had to switch it to U.S. versus Testa. So that's so they had to
Joey Testa. Yep.
That's the guy that just got out.
Okay. Center and Testa.
That's the guy that's getting out, right, Testa?
Yeah.
Who was the Nino guy, Jonah, that you had in that previous? He was
Nino Gadji.
Nino Gadji.
Yeah. So do you guys know the main character in the 8mm film of the producer that's producing these films? Guess what his name is? JJ's favorite. What's his name? The time traveler, Nick Cage. My favorite movie of all time, 8mm. It's called. His name's Nino. If you guys haven't seen 8mm, I
Oh, I love
I
it.
seen it a long time ago.
Well,
That-
I
Is
have
that right?
unfortunately
Is that right, Phil?
forced myself to see it recently.
JJ
I
doesn't
just
We're
like
doing
it.
a film review, right?
So
in October, Landon,
mean-
coming up here, sir. And Landon, we're going to be in a cold and esoteric film review of 8mm.
I mean,
Are we
you
going to
got
bring anyone else on
Gandolfini
board? Is Phil
in that.
Phil
I mean,
down?
that's such a good movie. I'd be down.
So
You gents are welcome to join us. It's a dark one, I can assure you of that. I was kind of, I
Yeah.
was very much disturbed.
It's a little disturbing, but
that
that
has
guy's
one of
name
the
is Nino, which is weird.
when what's his name when the one guy dies, not like this machine, kill everyone. You know, like, I mean, there's some good lines in that movie, but it's like, I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is like, you know, his character's a little bit kind of like, you feel kind of bad how his end goes. But yeah, that's a movie that makes you uncomfortable from beginning to end.
That's the point.
Yeah, I was,
And,
I
and
got
even
done
more
watching
so.
it, and I didn't feel good about anything in life, to be quite honest with you.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it was a
So,
good
I
film.
just wanted-
I think it was. I think it kind of exposed early on of what was kind of going on. I think that's possible.
Yeah.
Everything that you've seen there is very likely.
Well,
Well, they
speaking of the
consider
Hogan's Heroes guy,
urban-
earlier we see the Hogan's Heroes star dying from him. Probably he was filming some of them kind of films as well. It
Oh,
seems.
Bob Crane.
Bob Crane.
Bob Crane, probably killed by John Carpenter and one of the guys who writes a book, and not the director. But and then
Yeah,
later on,
don't
one of the
point any
guys-
fingers at Richard Dawson, that freak, though, right?
One of the guys who writes a
S23
book
said
about it
sketchy territory.
is what's his name? Robert Gray Smith, who wrote the book about Zodiac.
Son of an Air Force colonel, right? I'm just saying. It's sometimes it's interesting who brings us these tales.
JJ, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they give that little nod to the Zodiac, right? Sneak Attack from the Zodiac. That's in the what's the name of that song?
Californication, sir. And they are Thelemites by their own title, produced by Rick Rubin. Is that
was not-
Californication?
No, that's not Californication. It's
Well, then I'm unfamiliar with this, sir. I thought that was in that song. I got my Thelemite music mixed up. I apologize.
Well, as a segue, speaking of Zodiacs and also gruesome shit,
Dark
on the screen here
Necessities.
now.
There
Yes.
we go. Okay, thank you.
Speaking of the Zodiac and dark shit, so Gemini method. So the reason they say that
Yes.
they only ended up bringing like 25 murders. The feds and the New York police just think it's 200 plus, but they're like, yeah, with no body. So basically, what they did is they would shoot so they bring you back into the back apartment of the Gemini Lounge, shoot you in the back of the head, wrap you with a towel, cut your heart or stab your heart so you bleed out. They have allegedly they made, and all this information comes from Dominic Monteglio, who is this nephew of Nino. Yeah, he's the nephew of fucking Nino Gadji, and so he's just basically runs down. But JJ was asking about where Roy learned to be a butcher when he was a teenager. He ended up working as a
Butcher's apprentice. Yep.
Yeah. And then one other member of the crew. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's funny, but I think it was before you got in, Jonah. JJ was talking to Landon about Edward Lansdale, talking about the sort of like mythology and like the things that used to scare the shit out of people in the Pacific.
Yeah, weaponized folklore, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, weaponized folklore and like hanging bodies upside down. And what was one of the guys' nicknames in the DeMeo crew? This guy's nickname was Dracula.
Yeah,
fucking Dracula, dude. And that's what he would do. He'd hang the bodies upside down, right?
Guglielmo, who was the cousin, and he lived in the fucking apartment where they did all the bodies.
Yep. And I think they say suspected murder. They don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, he just disappears.
Yeah, he disappears.
That's
It's
what I'm
not
saying,
like
dude. No one seems to care. I mean, I'm not saying I'm like looking for like we should care about these scumbags, but I mean, like no one seems to care,
Well,
I mean,
here's when it does though. Like we say, no one seems to care. I'm going to reference a movie. Think of like the movie Heat, when a guy like Wayne Bro disappears from De Niro's crew, and then he's up and killing young girls because he's a serial killer. Like that's the thing. Some of these guys could apply their trade.
That's a great example, sir. That's a great example. I can give you a real life version of that regarding the nemesis of one Wayne Edwards, the most prolific serial killer you probably never heard of. His occult serial killer nemesis, a guy by the name of Frank Dreyer. Frank Dreyer. Montana said, you know what, dude, you've killed some folks. We're going to let you go on parole. And then they did the same thing to Ed in Pennsylvania, the same thing to Charlie in California at the same time. That's fucking weird. And Charlie Manson, that is. They were all friends. They all fucking knew each other. But anyway, no one cared to look for Frank Dreyer for the next 38 years. And he was living in Arizona, running a church. Lord knows what else he was doing.
Oh, the other thing though too is
care about some of these characters.
The other thing that I just remembered though too with the Joseph Dracula, the official story is that
I gotta get
Albert
a picture
DeMeo,
of this guy. Great.
Roy's son.
Yeah,
no,
Albert
so I
DeMeo,
got
the son.
for this guy. It's fantastic. He does look like Dracula.
Wait.
I mean, it's an accurate nickname.
Albert DeMeo, the son of Roy, who's named after his uncle, the head prosecutor for the SDNY, the federal prosecutor. So his uncle is the prosecutor for SDNY, but by the time he's being investigated, he's no longer with the SDNY. He's just a professor, whatever, you know. But yeah, no. So jumping back here, I went into the FOIAs here. This is kind of funny because it's like, oh, this is the search warrant for the Gemini Lounge again. Roy was
hold
killed
on one
in
second,
January.
sir.
Yeah.
Pardon me, sir. I just want to bring up a
Yeah.
picture of Dracula here for the effects of the situations here. This dude,
Yes.
this dude's he's a spooky looking guy, dude. I mean, there's no doubt about it. This dude's a serial killer. I mean, look at him. He looks like one. Trust your senses.
They used to, I mean, I think it was Dominic Montiglio would talk about going to the Gemini and like after these guys would do what they were doing, they'd eat pizza. You know, after like, I think they would say Chris Rosenberg would come out. I mean, again, take it for what you will.
Roy was a family man.
I know Montiglio's story.
No, but when you look into that story, though.
Yeah.
But when you look into that story, they ordered pizza one time that is known of, and then it's just kind of people expand it as a telephone game, right?
Well, that's fair enough, but to a certain degree, that makes sense across the spectrum of these guys' reputation. Roy was a family man. Yeah. He taught like baseball, or he coached baseball and shit, didn't he?
Dude, he was like the fucking hero of the neighborhood. Like he was all like, if you read the Murder Machine, there's all kinds of like all his neighbors were like, oh yeah, he was the guy who was home all day long, so he took care of all the neighborhood kids, this, that, and the other thing. Like he had a bunch of kids.
They compartmentalize. That's what they always do. They compartmentalize.
Well, that's what they do in the Phoenix program, sir. That's what
they show.
That's what I'm saying. Like, where did he learn this stuff?
They show that in Casino.
Lawrence King didn't run the boys' home either. You know?
They show that in Casino with Tony Spilotro. You know, a guy who killed at least 24. You know, I mean, in the movie it's Nicky Santoro, but he's literally taking his kid to get in.
He was a real fucking nut job. He learned some how to kill too, right from somewhere.
With Roy DeMeo, just a quick aside, they mention him. Has anyone ever seen the Gotti, the HBO movie with Armand Assante?
I've seen it.
It's actually pretty underrated. They mention Roy DeMeo.
Film.
When at one point they're talking about how Gotti's crew, including Gene, because it kind of leads to eventually how Gene and Angela Ruggiero get involved in heroin, talking about where we get money. Oh, Roy DeMeo's doing this, and DB's porn and all these other things. Like they're starving, and then what kind of leads to the jump, which inadvertently
Which is kind of funny though too, right? Because he's the Manhattan crew, so that's the money crew, right? Then Gotti's like they're starving, but the Brooklyn crew, which is the broke neighborhood, is the one making all the paper. So it's kind of like it's completely inverted. But again, too, that kind of happens with the criminal enterprise because it kind of goes on more in the poor neighborhoods, right?
Well, initially, just to interject, initially though, Gotti's crew, even though Gotti, eventually they show him with Neil Delacroce. Gotti's crew was out of Queens. So initially, it's conceivable they weren't making money. That Manhattan, Brooklyn, like Sammy Gravano, what was he in? Construction. You had the blue collar wing and you had the white collar wing. And then when Paul Castellano, they're like, is he a gangster or is he a businessman? And
And your president today had no ties to all these construction firms.
Totally
yeah,
innocent.
come on,
Totally innocent.
totally
These are all allegations. These are unfounded
I mean,
allegations.
Hasn't Sammy Gravano basically vouched for him? I mean, if anyone's going to be
Yeah,
your,
you can't trust Sammy the Songbird. That's a good point, Phil. If you can't trust Sammy the Songbird Gravano, who can you trust?
Mikey Francesi.
But yeah. So going back to this here, I threw in the from the memory or the FOIA, right? I was gonna throw in more, but it's just so redacted. And when I was like, okay, no, can't do that, because it's literally like essay blank, interviewed blank.
So redacted.
Like literally. But this one here, which is really interesting because you see here in November, so 10 months or 10 months after.
Yeah, 10 months.
Yeah, they're finally doing the search warrant. Now, real fun aside here, that address 2084
right?
East
After he's dead,
Street.
right?
Yeah, 10 months after. Yep.
Yeah.
But that
What,
address
like, how do you even make that as like an excuse, right? Like, oh, well, he died last year. Well, we should start that investigation. That's a good time.
Means they're not taking it seriously.
Well, on its face, right? On its face, you know. I wonder what would cause them to produce this 10 months later.
But that was when Dominic started talking. The nephew.
Dominic was dealing drugs. They got him for that.
Oh, so we're talking like a Henry Hill Boston point shaving scandal. How that thing went down, right?
Dominic is a main source, and Jonah will verify it in terms of Murder Machine. However, before he died a few years ago, Dominic popped up in a documentary and he popped up in a podcast where his story about his involvement in the crimes kind of changed a little bit. So
I haven't seen that, but
totally innocent, huh? I didn't do it.
He was also in that one movie with all them fast cars in it. It's about the family, Dom.
No, but hey, JJ, you're gonna love this. So Dominic Montiglio, however you say it, right? He was a LERP ranger, and I believe he is in Fort Bragg. You might want to check that up. So again, too, you get your Fort Bragg
that is refined detail. I do appreciate these Fort Bragg things are very interesting when it comes to all of these kind of hood rat shit matters.
Yeah. Well, because they mentioned that Montiglio might have connected with Mickey Featherstone because Mickey Featherstone served in Vietnam, even though Mickey Featherstone had a traumatic incident happen to him while he was over in Vietnam.
You just reminded me.
Bill Colby got a hold of him.
Oh no! I mean, no. What happened?
You got a Colby Aquino tag team.
Featherstone could have been an MK Ultra. How he was fucked up in Vietnam.
He got feathered up.
There's a tie-in with Murder Machine where there's a Featherstone story where so everyone's like, oh, the witness is a ranger and Featherstone's still free and Montiglio's already disappeared. Everyone's like, well, where the fuck is he? Because he allegedly stole $250K from his uncle. But Featherstone went right to the family and be like, hey, it's not me. The only other ranger is Montiglio. He's the fucking rat. So there's a tie in that way too. But nice. I just threw it in the next page here again. So you have the evidence. So you get so this is 10 months afterwards, right? So you have evidence of discharge of firearms in the walls and floors of the captured apartment. Evidence of blood or other human remains in moldings, floor cracks, furniture, or on the floor drains. Evidence, to determine how many. Oh wait, that's just the what they're looking for. But on the back here,
is this the Gemini?
Yeah, this is at the Gemini.
Okay.
So they found 7 saws on the workbench. Now the Gemini is also like after they closed the bar, it's a church.
I was about to say, I think it's a Korean church. I looked at Google Maps. I think it's a Korean church today. Yeah.
Do you think
Bill
Colby got a hold of
Don over there today, where they used to murk them?
So this is the last one I have on the DeMeos here, but
is that right? Did someone call him? Is he here? I missed it.
Yeah, he's in here. I was wondering if Bill Colby got a hold of him too.
So
you know what? The mob CIA connection.
Bill Bladsky.
Yeah,
It's not a hold, JJ. It's a Holt. If you're from West Virginia, it's a Holt. Go ahead and grab a Holt of him.
I just want to throw this one in.
Here's the deal. Where's Rudy Giuliani fall in this mix? Where's the guy in the dress with the Hell's Angels thing with the crack?
He is in the U.S. Attorney's office. Yeah, Walter Mack, who I think the nickname was, they talked about the Capo di Tutti Capi. He was the Capo di Tutti Frutti at one point. Walter Mack, I was just thinking of his name too.
Yeah.
So Rudolph, the reindeer Giuliani doesn't start his campaign until about 86. So this is right before.
He runs against, his first campaign was against Dinkins in 89. So he's still a little bit off.
But he's U.S. attorney.
Oh, yeah,
though,
yeah,
right?
you're right.
He's U.S. attorney.
He comes in and fires Walter Mack, but Walter Mack actually demotes himself so he can still prosecute the case. Like he did all the fucking work. Or they did all the work. Well, no, he did all the work or whatever, right, on this case. But once, so Walter Mack was the head employee. And once Giuliani got in, he brought his own bitch in, some woman or whatever, and brought her in as this is gonna be who's gonna run in things from now on. This here from Wikipedia goes on about the Empire Boulevard. This is where they're loading up all the cars, and this is kind of where everything. They're stealing hundreds of cars a week and just loading them up out of a fucking warehouse right next to a police precinct. So this is where they end up getting caught. Now let's get into this one here.
So no one from the law enforcement were held accountable, right?
No.
They're just like, it's just in the police lot next door. We didn't see it. We didn't know what was going on there.
Jonah, can we talk about, just a quick aside, Vito?
Yeah,
Vito Arena.
Oh yeah, Vito Arena. I forgot about
Vito
that.
Arena, who's part of the DeMeo crew, would eventually, I think he would provide some testimony. He definitely was involved in some of the murders.
Yeah, he provided testimony. He actually, the one trial, he literally he actually I need a recess, and then he demanded specific. He told the prosecutors I need this before I continue on. Otherwise, I'm not saying another word.
Oh, he wanted his partner with him in WITSEC.
Yeah, Joey Lee.
I think he died doing pulling a heist or something afterwards. But Vito Spatafore from The Sopranos is loosely based off Vito Arena. It's a little bit of both. Okay. It's Vito Arena, but then when they killed Vito on The Sopranos, that was about John D'Amato, who was the underboss of the Jersey faction, the Jersey crime family, who they found out was gay, and they killed him.
You guys need to start a mob podcast. You and Jonah. You guys know too many names, bro. I don't even know how you guys are pulling these names out. It's insane.
The mafia the mafia is always interesting because, to be honest, that's how I first heard of a book called The Crimes of Patriots about Nugan Hand. It's connected. Wow. It is completely connected. There's interlocking points. How do you hear about a guy named Paul Hellowell? Well, Paul Hellowell had organized crime connections. Roy Cohn had organized crime connections. Right. It branches off. It's part of the octopus that Danny Castellaro found. You will find these interlocking points.
As my dad, I was 10 years old growing up. I knew who Sam Giansana was just from the JFK stuff. My dad was always screaming about Sam Giansana.
Momo Giancana. Yep.
Giansana, however you say it.
It's close enough. It's close enough. I have an uncle that I'm pretty sure, a great uncle, was mafia. My dad's been he was definitely in the mafia. I mean, Long Beach, where I grew up, that's where these guys had summer homes. I've told JJ about Billy Crystal's.
Now it's Russians, right?
Billy Crystal, probably. Billy Crystal's 700 Sundays. He mentions a guy named John Armento who rear-ended his dad. John Armento was a huge drug dealer for the Lucchese family. My cousin, who's passed now, he took out on a date Johnny Dio's daughter. Johnny Dio was an infamous labor racketeer. That's the one who Henry Hill mentions doing time with Paulie in Goodfellas. Johnny Dio had a labor reporter blinded with acid, and when the guy who did it blackmailed Johnny Dio's like, fuck this shit, had him killed. there's so many. I think Luciano even might have been out in Long Beach. Like Long Beach at one point was Atlantic City without the casinos.
Right.
Long Beach was city by the sea, 2-mile long boardwalk. This is where people like to go. Tommy Gambino lived in Lido Beach. Tommy Lucchese, who was his father-in-law, died in Lido Beach. There's connections. Long Beach, I mean, that's where the Corleone family lived.
Right.
In The Godfather. They mentioned it in The Godfather.
That's
but the city. God.
I said, and in the offer. That's where the Corleone family
Yes.
lives.
Well, the reason why the movie wasn't filmed, I think with the exception of one scene, the city of Long Beach, which, by the way, did not like my grandparents because they were Italian, said, we don't like that element here.
We don't like your kind, boy.
Well, meanwhile, I'm like, they just honored it was my great granduncle who was worked for the fire department, and after helping a bunch of people in a gas leak, got hit by a car. Like, so their priorities are a little fucked, in terms of that. But yeah,
where Landon and I come from, they say we don't like your kind around here, boy. So you're like that down there about much times in West Virginia.
When I saw
this, not liking folks' kind, how does this guy get paroled? What's going on?
How do both of them get paroled?
Right now, well, I was going to start here and going to the next one, sir. But
can I just point out the Gemini twins, and they only link them to 11, which is a Gemini twin number. And where does he get paroled from? Canaan. Get the fuck out of here! Like Canaan. Like, going all the way back to the Old Testament before the Hebrews. Like, get the fuck out.
Yeah, we're talking about these occult elements of the mafia. It seems like there's a lot of occult elements of these guys right here, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's creepy. Yeah, you guys should start a show though, Phil. You and Jonah could do a mob show.
All the mobsters are talking their own shit. Why would we need to?
I mean,
we only have the information because they talk it all.
Right.
You know what? For as much. And I've said this to JJ, and I've said this to every time I've done a mob podcast. It's like, for as much as we know, there's so much more that's like buried. I said this to Julie a couple months ago. Mob war is a great way to dispose of bodies and just distribute them to a mob war. I'm reading a book about, what's his name? Greg Scarpa. Another book that just came out about Greg Scarpa, the Grim Reaper.
Philly mob?
No, Columbo's. Oh. No, that's Scarfo. That's Scarfo. You're thinking Nicky Scarfo. Close enough.
I get my Italian name confused, sir. You are correct.
I mean, they're close.
Well, like to buy a vowel.
Greg Scarpa was an informant for almost 30 years, and that relationship had a lot of controversy. His son,
dude, it's like Whitey Bulger level, right?
Yeah, well, his son.
Hey, wait, but Whitey Bulger was huge MK Ultra. Stephen Pinter and Poisoner in Chief talks about how they. So Poisoner in Chief, if no one's read it, fucking everyone has to. But they talk about how when Whitey Bulger was in Kentucky prison, they still have the prison records of like 180 days they had him on acid or something like that. It's something ridiculous. It might be like 80 days, but it's just absolutely ridiculous.
It was accidental, just like how they accidentally put him in gin pop in a West Virginia.
Jonah, aren't we one nation
by a
under
mob
MK Ultra?
Guy.
We're all MK Ultra, baby.
Yeah, totally coincidental, right?
Well, remember, they got Bulger in late 2018, and then a year later, they get Jeffrey Epstein. And
I still don't buy the story of how they got Bulger. He's living 2 blocks away from a giant billboard with his fucking face hole all over it with that lady too, his girlfriend.
Catherine.
We had no idea they lived there. Like, that's a walking community in Santa Monica. They need to drive. Everyone sees that billboard there.
Catherine Gregg, who just kept needing, facials, and she kept needing to look younger because there is the very distinct possibility that Whitey Bulger liked them young. Like his buddy, Steve Fleming. Steve Fleming was a pedophile.
Yep.
His quote unquote partner in crime and who they gave up, Steve Fleming fucked kids. I think Whitey Bulger, I mean, I know Howie Carr, who's kind of like Bet Noir, the journalist who covered him, said Bulger was into kids. But then again, Howie Carr also said the MK Ultra stuff was BS. So I'm kind of like,
Right.
you got to throw the flag on that. I think he's kind of hedging on that. I think number one, Bulger was totally MK Ultra and affected from it. I also believe that Bulger.
I think they were running the whole time. It wasn't him. He was just a fucking puppet. That's my opinion.
And they hung, even though I don't like them.
Like an operation, they're using him as the way to just to execute some business.
He's the front
He's a fully owned subsidiary.
Yeah. Anyway, whether it was the CIA, whether it was the FBI, or whether it's some other fucking banker.
I think that's a good way to look at it, man. They're expendable. No, these are fully owned subsidiaries. These are part of the plan. This is not a one-off here. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I have a general rule of thumb: if Jack Nicholson plays you in a film, then you're probably a pedophile.
Well, and they tell the story of Whitey Bulger when he's on the run going to see The Departed and being like,
great example. Johnny Depp, probably a pedophile.
I still haven't seen Black Mass yet.
It's not that good. Departed was far better than that take. Even though it was like a kind of a fictional take of it, I guess, right?
But
they did say.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, John. No. I was
going to jump back. I was going to jump us back on because I still got a bunch of good shit about this Operation Cassandra.
I'm in.
Where
I want to hear more.
So basically, you'll see here that this is a political. I'm going to give JJ the links for this and the 3-part Hezbollah Inc. series. So in about 2004, I think it was, a couple of DEA guys started investigating. They end up running all the. I'll go into it, but they ran all the numbers. They got all the bankers. They got all the cocaine. So Hezbollah has been working with the Medellin cartel, importing cocaine, selling cars back over to Africa so they could sell them, and that's how they're laundering the money. It's a whole fucking thing, but everything that they do is a Roy DeMeo type operation, is a Operation Gladio type operation. So Political has all kinds of shit here. So I just cut some stuff from here, and I'll go through it real quick. But so even here it says, and it's the determination to secure a nuclear deal with Iran. The Obama administration derailed an ambitious law enforcement campaign targeting drug trafficking by Iranian-backed terrorist group Hezbollah. Oh, you're gonna love some of the shit that comes up here. So even here, so right here, 483 million in money laundering. So that's from December 15 of 2011. It was called Lebanese Canadian Bank. It was actually in Beirut, Lebanon. Yeah, I hang out with a lot of Arabs, so I do kind of from time to time. But let's go to this page. The man.
If I may, sir, that terrorist lady in the Congress from Minnesota, she says Hezbollah is nice folks. You're telling me otherwise? Is that what you're saying?
Who? Ilhan Omar?
Wait. Can I just direct your attention to the second paragraph? The man.
Yeah, the one that married her brother, right? To break some U.S. laws for citizenships. Yeah, you know the one I'm talking about. The daughter of the Somali warlord guy. You know the one.
Can I just point your attention to the second paragraph? The guy who issued all the Saudi passports for September 11th, John Brennan.
Guy. Totally stand-up guy.
So it says here.
Yeah, it's to know he speaks Farsi. It's totally normal. He's not a Wahhabi Islam guy or anything, right?
Oh, and he was never a member of the Communist Party.
Yeah, never happened.
But so it talks about how so even here it says that people have to recognize the greater assimilation of Hezbollah. So that's just fucking hilarious. But of course, me being me, I made sure to actually go down to the abstract, and you'll see right here he outright mentions Hezbollah on the second last line about how they need a greater I didn't pay for the access to it. But yeah, no. So this is literally John Brennan telling people that the U.S.
You want to fund communism, Johnny? Good call.
What's that?
Paying for it would be financing communism through whatever commie outlet that publishes this here for us. I'm saying all educational outlets are communism. I'm getting that.
Yeah. No, but it's out at the top there. It says the Annals of the American Academy of Political and Social Science. So it's a Rockefeller communist rag.
I was going to say it's either
But,
Soros or Rockefeller, but that name right there.
Same.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
So,
yeah, basically,
one of-
right?
one
same jackass.
one of the ways that this whole operation comes out is this guy Jack Kelly. He was one of the long time. Again, he's into documentary. Him and Maltz is the guy who's the head of the special operations group. They just talk all kinds of shit on everyone because they spend like fucking. They spent like 9-10 years doing these investigations, and then Obama comes and he's like, "No, I'm signing nuclear deal. None of this is going through. None of it." So now
So what was their
the
end game
second
here?
one,
What was the intended purpose of Project Cassandra going in? At least, what was their stated purpose?
they were, so it sounds like that they were tracking the finances through Operation Enduring Freedom, maybe, or another one of these operations, right? So they're tracking the finances. And then the DEA had another guy who kind of, they're crossing streams where the one guy's in Colombia running all the South American shit, but every time he picks up the phone, he hears fucking Allahu Akbar, you know what I mean? Like,
right. It's a bit confusing.
Habibi,
You're like,
Habibi.
excuse me, this is my home office.
Yeah, he's in fucking Colombia. He keeps hearing Habibi, and he's like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like, what's going on here?" But there's so much that goes on with this one here. So they ran this operation for years, but I found this one here on the side here, second on the right hand side. It talks about how the U.S. just fucking murked Hamid Mugnia. So, like, they bombed his car.
Hamid not going to live around here no more.
Yeah. Due process, trials. We don't need any of that. Let's just send some people into another guy's home country.
We got drones. We got drones, Jonah. You need to do process when you got drones.
No. They did bombs on this shit. But
they got the big machinery, eh?
Yeah. No, they just went in and they fucking rigged his car like they tried to they tried to do on the governor with Roy DeMeo and Dominic Montiglio, but they used like fucking
second time
grenade, which ties into here. They talk about how Hezbollah now operates a crime family.
Some mobster got grenaded,
all the Gambino shit.
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
It's just crazy the stuff that they literally have. Go ahead.
No, I didn't want to.
JJ
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but there's a mobster that got grenade bombed.
Vince Garvanara, they tried to kill twice. The second time they killed him, was it the first or the second time with the grenade, Jonah?
What the?
No. The first time was the grenade, and it was a concussion grenade. So he ended up just blowing himself out the car or whatever. He leaves New York for a bunch of time. Then he comes back. And then the three of them, DeMeo, Gadji, and Montiglio, fucking run down the street, just blast them because
it was to avenge a grudge for Gadji.
Yeah.
I'm told these are men of principled ethics. You're telling me otherwise? Is that what you're saying here, sir?
Governor, a cat called Gadji's sister, who is Montiglio's mother. So and then when Gadji fucking went over there with a hammer, Governor was a boxer and smashed his fucking nose, broke his nose, and he's like, "I gotta fucking kill that guy." And like 12 years later, he's trying to kill him.
Everything you're describing here is no different than their kinfolk in the Cosa Nostra Italian side of Bill Colby Squares, our channel. This one's for you, bud. If you're out there, in the Operation Gladio aspects over there, because again, they do their grenading folks over there. That's not a normal activity here in America. Outside of Operation Gladio and Colby Squares, that is.
When you think of Montiglio's experience overseas, and to a degree possibly Featherstone's experience overseas.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, not everybody has to have. You got to have one guy, a couple guys. They train everybody, right, in some of these tactics. But It's not normal to be grenading folks around here. That's all I'm saying. That is a very Operation Gladio tactic. Whether or not they came from it or not, they learned from it.
Wait. I got to interrupt you. It's perfectly normal in Quebec.
Grenade
there's
folks,
a number
dude?
like
We don't do that here in the lower 48.
That's more of what you would call a Vito Rizzuto faction when you have like kind of the Canadian
no.
Oh man, you want to tell me the Corsicans or the French are out there grenading folks? I'll believe you on that one. I mean, but here in America, we don't grenade folks around here.
Hey, Phil. I grew up in the skinhead shit, like got out of the SA by the FBI, whatever. I was in the whole white power.
Yeah, whatever, no big deal.
But when I was in Quebec, when I was in Montreal, like with the skinheads that I knew out there, there was two crews. There's the Berserker Boot Boys and the VHS Vinland Hammerskins. They're literally talking about firebombing each other's houses, like grenading them. And then they're like they settled their beef, so now they're drinking together. I'm like,
that's a Monday, cool. Right? They're like, who are we grenading today, guys?
Well, remember.
Right.
Remember when
you got a long history of kind of firebombing things up there since the British and the French were at it, a couple hundred years back.
Dude, the whole thing, the FLQ when they fucking kidnapped the British guy, they were fucking firebombing the whole city, and then they shot the ambassador of Britain.
That's what I'm saying. Things get really tense, right? When it comes to Brits and the French up there, right? It gets real tense.
Yeah.
May as well be the Irish up there on the Northern Irish border there, right?
Yeah. Go ahead, Phil. You're gonna say something?
No, I was saying, like, in terms of the Cosa Nostra in New York, when they killed Frankie DeCicco, and they thought they were killing Gotti after the unauthorized hit on Castellano. It was only a few months later, and they did a car bomb, and they're like, "Yeah, no, that's not here. That's a Sicily thing." And they're like, yeah, no, well, the hit was unauthorized, so how we go about avenging it, who gives a shit? The only reason why they didn't get Gotti was because the guy who was the Chico's co-passenger, I think his name was Bellino, looked like Gotti.
Well, that's a great example, Phil. I appreciate you remain with a lot of details. I appreciate that one because this is where American Gladio starts in the old country with these fuckers, right?
Yeah. Can I point out too? Even going back to Quebec, the Quebec biker wars, like no one was really giving a shit until they had a car bomb that killed an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
Like up until then, they're just like, yeah, that's just business. Leave them alone.
That's just Quebec, folks. Until you kill an 11-year-old, huh?
Well, in Sicily back, so they, everyone talks about certain mob wars. So the Sicilian mob wars are the most intense. The first, what they call the first great mafia war in Sicily was in the 60s. And that ended, I think it was in a place called Cianculi. The car bomb killed 11 cops. And that was one of those moments where, like,
good bomb maker, I guess, huh?
We've went too far. And that, well, no, because the second mob war that started in the late 70s went to the early 80s and hit America with the Pizza Connection case was, I think the total could have went into the thousands, because out of that would become their version of the commission case, which was the Maxi trial, which later on was 300 plus mafiosi in a specially constructed bunker in Sicily. This involved two prosecutors who would eventually be killed, Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino. And I think Giuliani was involved in certain aspects. So is a certain mob prosecutor, later controversial FBI director, and Jerry Sandusky investigator, Louis Free, who was involved in it.
Hey, Hunter Biden's handler, old one-eyed Willie.
So that case, they had it where it was like you had these mob guys in this bunker, in this cell. You could have 5 or 6 guys basically yelling at a guy like Tommaso Buscetta, who's what they would call a supergrass, an ultra rat, testifying against these guys. I think out of that case, out of 300 plus, 95% were convicted, and a few who got off were murdered shortly thereafter. It was effective, but at the same time, the mafia's still there. So it was kind of like, it kind of just became a blip on the radar. Just wait. the U.S. Commission case went.
I mean, can I just point out, like, since we're doing the offer on Wednesday again, everyone should tune in. But Mario Puzo wrote about the first Godfather, I think it was called, but it's entirely about the Borgia family, and don't forget about the Borgheses. Like this whole family shit in Italy goes back centuries. I mean,
the Medicis,
the Orsinis, the Orsinis, the Medicis,
black nobility shit, right?
Well, that's some great stuff, and I do recommend folks check out Operation GCD Wednesdays and the Cult and Esoteric review of The Offer, starring Cocaine Bob Evans, and Jonah and Phil will be joining me for that. I appreciate all those gents' commentary on all these topics. I'm learning a lot tonight, as always. Man, a lot of details, but regarding these matters of the mafia, and so I'm a Scots-Irish Cherokee fellow of no Italian descent, so a lot of this stuff was very foreign to me until I was an adult. And I didn't really get into these films again until more recent years, even. So, I've been learning a lot over time of these matters. But one thing I noticed with The Godfather, specifically with The Offers we'll be doing here, the making of The Godfather, which is the Paramount series, The Offer. It seems to me these are hit pieces. Right, these are internally funded mob hit pieces against each other. Right, so you look at like the Godfather family. What we got here? What's his name? Don Corleone's. There's a Corleone fucking mafia family, dude. Right, like what are we talking about here? And then you see like somebody like Michael Franchise's dad, who's the underboss of the Colombo family, who is very much I call them the executive producer, Joe Colombo of the film. Right, not he's up there with the Cocaine Bob and the CIA guy and making the deal already. So, we see that whole situation. Well, and we see Sonny Corleone. He's suddenly, he's going to be targeted in that film. And he goes to prison right then. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, these seem to be hit pieces. You know what I mean? Sonny Franchise goes to prison when Sonny Corleone dies in the film. I'm just saying, a lot of these. And then you got Joe Gallo, who's apparently connected to the murder of Joe Colombo, as we find out in The Offer. Yet Cocaine Bob's got to trade.
He survived the shooting.
Well, eventually he dies
for like 6 years or whatever.
But
he gets shot in 71. He
Joe
dies
Gallo
in 78
at the same time, right? That they're making a Joe Gallo and
Gallo gets shot as a retaliation.
Less than a year later.
Like 4 months later, wasn't it?
It's proximity. It's not too long after.
Joe Colombo gets shot in June 71.
Okay, yeah.
Joey Gallo gets killed the day after his birthday, April 1972. And it was Colombo. It was not The Irishman. It was not Frank Sheeran, despite what De Niro and that entire movie, good movie, but completely inaccurate, would hold. But yeah.
Well, even then too, the Colombo shooting, right? So Gallo fucking comes out of prison. He can't go back to his family.
What's the MGM film I'm thinking of there, fellas?
The what?
No, there's a story. There's a story. So we see Joe Gallo connected to the Colombo situation, right? And in The Offer, they depict some of that.
Yeah.
Joe Gallo is they're making a movie about him, and MGM's making a movie about Joe Gallo at the same time. Paramount and Cocaine Bob are making The Godfather in part with Joe Colombo, and then Cocaine Bob trades Al Pacino because he's on contract with MGM.
Well, that was the gang that was the gang that couldn't shoot straight, which was written by Jimmy Breslin.
There we go. Yes, sir. Thank you much. Yep, Jimmy Breslin. So
and guess what?
He just happened to be the Ambassador Hotel, Landon. Yeah, he just happened to be in the Ambassador Hotel also, in addition to Son of Sam. There's by no circumstance or coincidence he's just standing next to RFK when RFK gets murdered, and he's also the Son of Sam guy, right? He seems to be part of that.
I'm going to give.
What is this lady in chat saying? Our loyalty to Israel.
I don't know.
No royalty.
That was out of that.
Perhaps someone should let her know it's America. This is America.
So
I'm not the vice
just to
president,
give another
America.
mafia movie connection. So I'm reading a book about the director William Friedkin and his initial choice for Popeye Doyle in The French Connection, Jimmy Breslin.
Get out of town.
Swear to God. And meanwhile, he's
Not
like,
Gene Hackman, huh?
And he's like, couldn't act. He's like, couldn't act about Jimmy Breslin. I'm like, yep.
Yeah, so they're making this movie about Joe Gallo. Cocaine Bob has to trade because they want Pacino. He's got De Niro. They trade him to MGM for Pacino.
Evans hated Pacino for that role. For the Godfather.
I don't disagree. And
MGM is Meyer Lansky, right?
There you go, sir. So people are talking shit about each other. Thank you, sir. So these are and then Joe Gallo, right after this film gets made, he's associated with Merck and Joe Colombo. I mean, what are we talking about here?
And Jerry Orbach, who celebrates Joe Gallo's birthday the night before he gets killed, because Joe Gallo was in the Joe Gallo was in Hollywood circuit, but New York. He was hanging out with Jerry Orbach. He was hanging out with Richard Mulligan. He was hanging out with all these like society actor types. People were like, he came out of prison very well read and also hanging out with actors. So people started wondering, was he, and by the way, that picture, that is the one that looks the closest to the fucking guy who played him in The Offer. Because other than that, didn't look like him. Because the other picture I would give when he testified in front of Bobby Kennedy, the McClellan Committee, it looks like Harvey Keitel. Like you see him slick back hair and sunglasses. Harvey fucking Keitel.
That is the closest picture. The Offer did a good job at casting folks in The Offer. I mean, I made a Muppet of Cocaine Bob, but the guy who played Cocaine Bob was spot on.
Oh, British actor. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No. Al Ruddy doesn't look anything like that guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, they got Miles Teller.
Yeah, I mean, like a younger Al Ruddy was kind of looking like that guy, I think, right?
No, he wasn't.
When you get a British guy who could sound like Robert Evans, who had, even though he was from New York, went Hollywood, and all of a sudden has this continental sort of accent, and you get the guy who's Bloodhorn. I don't even know who he is. Bloodhorn was perfect.
Yeah.
Charles Bluehorn. That dude's a Christopher Nolan character actor. That dude kills it.
Certain choices in that movie, like Puzo, I want to say the guy who played Coppola, who's been in tons of stuff, was perfect. The only issue I had, any movie that casts Giovanni Ribisi, I have issues with, and he was Joe Colombo.
For sure, I have issues. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Phil. That's you're a man of good taste.
And I'm not even getting into the Scientology aspect of the Ribisi family, but yeah.
I agree. He's a terrible actor as well, but I agree with you. Scientology as well, but yeah, for sure.
I had issues with the guy that did the fucking fake Kissinger voice and the fake Kissinger, but that's a whole.
Yeah,
like, can you ever find someone? Can you ever find someone that looks like Kissinger?
Paul Sorvino played him in Nixon. Paul Sorvino played Henry Kissinger in Nixon.
That's a fair point, but I almost feel like I enjoy a shittier Kissinger, right? Like I want the Kissinger to be a bad Kissinger.
Yeah.
I want a good Kissinger.
They did him in The Simpsons, and I was like, holy shit, Henry Kissinger was on The Simpsons? No, it was like, I think it might have been Harry Shearer, like one of the guys who did Spinal Tap.
Yeah, he does all sorts of voices.
That character, and he might be involved in some weird shit for all we know. But great voice in terms of that, you know?
Well,
yeah, crazy Joe
we're
Gallo
talking about the Gallo family. So the guy you mentioned that plays he doesn't play Francis Ford Coppola. He plays the author. Why am I blanking on his name right now?
Mario Puzo.
Puzo, thank you, sir. Yes, that guy is a Gallo from the Buffalo. He did an interview saying, "Oh, yeah, I'm from the Gallo crime family, and we're Buffalo mobsters. And my uncle's a made man in the mob." I'm like, get the fuck. Why they're always bragging about their fucking hood rat shit. I'm tired of it, quite honestly. But
they couldn't get a cat. Luca Brasi, right? They didn't have
Lenny Montana
of a stroke. Yeah,
Montana. We got to save some of this for The Offer, but yeah, the mafia is all over the Offer. It's not just
Oh, there's so much in that.
Yeah,
there's so much
more.
And then here's another member of the Gallo family, of that same Gallo family. I've done the research, and I will confirm as such. This man is married to Charles Manson's former fiance. He's a major processing, and what I'm going to say is processings are going to process, because this dude made that weird, sick fuck film that he tried to make a feature film where he had that Chloe Sevigny ladies like give him a blowjob. He was the director and star, and had the actress give him a blowjob on camera and pretend like it wasn't pornography. And then they got blacklisted from Hollywood for a while.
JJ,
They're going to process.
Who's Vincent Bugliosi?
He's the Manson. Right? He might be.
This is Vincent Gallo. He's married to
Right.
He's married to Charles Manson's former fiance. They're big MAGA stars within the MAGA movement.
Oh, I was just seeing the name Vincent and Vincent Bubilo.
Vincent Bugliosi was the Manson prosecutor who cooked up the Helter Skelter
Really, Helter
bullshit.
Skelter.
But this is an epicenter of what we've been talking about here, Jensen. And I'm glad someone mentioned it in the chat because I almost forgot about it with these gallows. This is the mafia and the cult fuckers. You know, this is the epicenter right here with this guy.
Well, you mean like Bronfman's and Nexium?
You're not familiar with the film I'm talking about? Buffalo. Was it called
Brown Bunny? Brown Bunny.
Brown Bunny? Yes, sir. There we go.
Brown Bunny.
Yeah, this
Buffalo
guy was
66
he's
was
married.
the
Yeah, you're right. I seen Buffalo 66. It also wasn't good. I never seen this one though, but I'm familiar with what the narrative is here. In fact, Entourage did an infamous parody of this whole incident and the Entourage storyline. I was a big fan of that series. Anyhow, this dude, he's married to Charles Manson's former fiance, and tried to make a pornography that was not he was trying to not labeled a pornography. So someone mentioned earlier the mob makes all the porn. Well, yeah, they do it through things like these cult fuckers. So the first above ground, and I do say above ground because apparently old Linda Lovelace, of the star of the film Deep Throat, the first above ground pornography, apparently she did a lot of underground pornography, banging a lot of German shepherds. Speaking of things like banging dogs we were talking about earlier, and German shepherds sounds kind of process, but she would star in the 1972 film Deep Throat, which just happened to coincide with the whole Deep Throat scandal of Watergate. Shocker. Well, that's weird. And that was financed by one Sonny Franchise, father of Michael Franchise, the underboss of the Colombo crime family. And, once again, so we have them bringing us that movie premieres at the Pussycat Theater, which was a process-owned theater in West Hollywood. So we have the mob process, and again, more of that stuff still going on today with folks like the Gallows.
Was John Francis connect? I mean, I know they were in the same family, but how did he connect to the Perenos? Because the Perenos were Bryanston Pictures, which distributed Deep Throat, but also one of the reasons why no one from Texas Chainsaw Massacre saw $1 for that movie for over a decade.
That's him. That's Sonny.
Yep.
Recluse had a really good episode on that Texas Chainsaw.
He also, and here's another connection to Laurel Canyon. He also was the financier behind a music album or music label out of New York called Buddha Records. This is before the Laurel Canyon scene, but it bled into the Laurel Canyon scene. Captain Beefheart was one of the signed artists on that. Yeah.
What wasn't he like cult shit? Captain Beefheart kept this whole
big time. He was like Frank Zappa's like wizard sidekick guy.
Yeah.
What was the producer's name of that? JJ, the Texas Chainsaw, what's his name? He was weird too, right?
Toby Hooper?
Yes.
Well, Toby Hooper was the director. It was Toby Hooper, Kim Hankel. First of all, like drugs, obviously a huge part of that. They like I've read about the making of that where they had a point where drugs and shit, they were almost reenacting what they were shooting.
You mean like Popeye with Robin Williams?
Well, Gunnar Hansen, the guy who played Leatherface, is like, I almost saw myself chainsawing the girl who, like, it went full realism. It went meta, if you will.
Oh, that's weird. What about the dude with the big monkey wrench? You remember that guy, JJ, the big black guy from Texas?
Yeah, Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl, you don't want to be his monkey wrench?
Dave Grohl.
Another fucking Thelmite. The whole Taylor Hawkins thing in Studio 666 is weird as shit.
Oh,
yeah,
dude,
no, they
are
Taylor Hawkins
for sure. There's no doubt.
No,
they're part of I think amongst all these movements, you have like the couple of the folks that are like, oh, I'm going to be the normal face of our crew, right? And then you have the folks behind the scenes. You start knowing that all these fuckers know each other. You're like, wait a second here. Why is Henry Kissinger hugging up on a shirtless cocaine Bob Evans? What's really going on here? Oh, you haven't seen the picture? Let me bring it up for you. No, go ahead. I'm just joking, but go ahead.
Well, I was going to jump back. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's. I thank all three of y'all, gentlemen, for your time and conversation this evening. Let's bring this in for a landing though here, and appreciate y'all joining me getting a little GCD, and I appreciate the folks of the interwebs join all of us for this barn burner. I didn't expect it to be a barn burn, but I think it's burned a little bit more than I expected here, fellas. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I got a few more things real quick. So I can just slide through them.
Are you waiting on me? We're gonna need some service here
Yeah.
in the technical department. There we go.
So this part here, I just found it was interesting because the cops from the FBI and DA wanted to build criminal cases, and then it says while the spooks from that CIA National Security Agency were looking to launch assassination cyber attacks and block imminent threats. So that's just kind of fucking weird because they're talking about this. So then this is
that
just
seems like pretty
email.
standard mob behavior, right? That's not spook behavior. That's mob behavior, right? I mean, this is what mobsters do, right? They grenade each other. They do, counterintelligence operations.
Yeah, and then this is so off of the Operation Cassandra. There's at least two because again, one's from the documentary. So this is Operation Titan that they cover in the Politico article. So this just goes in. It's a crime group in Medellin known as Oficicia. I can't fucking speak Spanish, so I'm not gonna try to. But again.
Let me translate for you. I got that.
No,
I'm very fluent. I'm just joking. Obviously, I'm not.
So you see here, they ended up arresting 130 suspects in just that case, and seizure of 23 million, which all goes back to this here, which is.
What were the years of this, sir? Who was the attorney general? Was this under the Butcher of Waco? Whose guys was this under?
No. This was this would be Ashcroft, I think, because it was under.
Oh, okay. Well, he's right. He's a tool. He's a good singer, though. I like that time he sang the song that one time.
Yeah. Then here it starts talking about how the Obama told him to stand down, and then brings up to. But I love the fact that it throws in that fucking.
Wait a second. You mean to tell me this man I was told was not an Islamist, who's not trying to take over America or undermine its liberties, was telling folks to stand down this Hezbollah investigation, huh?
Yeah, with that cunt fucking Lisa Monaco.
Oh, dude, she doesn't get enough credit, dude. She really doesn't get enough.
I know. I know.
She's even that Ukraine madness for sure.
But I threw this stuff in because this is really interesting with what's going on right now with Donald Trump because there's all kinds of information about they try to play it off American cities or whatever, but really a lot of this shit under Hugo Chavez and Maduro through Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and whatever. So they've been importing huge into Europe because Hezbollah is like a new main off Lebanon headquarters, kind of Paris, and it goes into here. I'll skip over this. So this year,
have you visited Minneapolis in recent years, sir? It's basically New Somalia.
Yeah, but. So this year,
I'm not making that up because they may as well call the Mall of America the Mall of Somalia, dude. You're bound to get stabbed together. I'm just saying, a little stabby.
Yeah, no. So when they did the Iran nuclear deal, whatever, so they had to shut down the case. But the DA in 2016, so this is how people first found out about the Project Cassandra, is they said, "Hey, we worked with 7 European nations, and we weren't allowed to move forward. Neither were the European nations." So I cut this here from the actual press release from the DA where they're just fucking talking shit on Obama's administration. And you see like on the bottom right-hand corner, DA, Philadelphia, Miami, Newark, York, Special Operations, Bilateral Investigative, and then goes on and on. Then it's like U.S. Customs, Border and Protection, U.S. Treasury, Financial Crimes, U.S. Treasury, Europol, but up here a little bit earlier, it talks about the European countries.
So, if I may, Jonah, what I'm seeing here, what you're describing in these details, and I'm learning a lot here, so I appreciate it. It looks like what we see in the machinations of these Gambino, or specifically the DeMeo element of which is being utilized in these hood rat operations of national security and kind of topics there and interests. Not my national security, I don't know whose it is, and probably not yours either. Not even yours, Jonah. You live in Canada, and it's still not yours.
Yeah.
But it seems like this is just the new mold of the same operation, right?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tie in from the start. You got Lucky Luciano with the Paul Halliwell.
I'm tracking.
Paul Halliwell with the OSS and Lucky Luciano Then you go into Project Gladio with who was the first in Italy? Was it Angleton? The first CIA guy there? I can't think off the top of my head.
That I
he
don't know, but I
was-
can assure you Bill Colby was the first one in Norway importing terrorism there.
Ang-
Gladio.
Yeah.
Angleton was connected to Italy, I think, with his dad. His dad was National Cash Registers, so there wasn't.
And he was also the
with
Vatican
Italy.
during World War II, right?
Angleton was.
Yeah, that
what was
doesn't
it called?
sound like a CIA front at all, does it, Phil? National Cash Registers? What are we talking here?
X2. The group is called X2. So, like, there's a great book. Now, you could take certain parts that have legitimacy and other ones that are debatable. The Secret War Against the Jews by John Loftus, who was DOJ. He was with the Office of Special Investigations. That talks about Angleton's role, because it says that Angleton was compromised by the Mossad because Angleton was kind of like the quote unquote the poet, and he was a big fan of Ezra Pound and E.E. Cummings, and that he was compromised by fascist connections, and that later on the Israelis blackmailed him. And that later on, because he controlled the Israel desk, besides being counterintelligence head for 20 plus years, he also headed the Israel desk, which led to that. I think it was it covert action? I think it was covert action, or possibly what is it? One of the more modern publications recently had just outed him and said that Angleton had betrayed the U.S. for Israel, which is definitely a possibility.
Yeah, I think some of that too. I think some of that is just them talking shit though too, because Angleton was the one who ran Glitzen, right? So he was
They're always talking
the perestroika.
Anatoly Galitzin, and then later on led the mole hunt, because Galitzin said anyone who comes after me is not legitimate, and that led to the whole Yuri Nosenko, that whole shit show when Nosenko came forward and said Oswald was never a person of interest with the KGB, and even though Nosenko I think was partly full of shit too, pardon my language, but that led to Nosenko. I think they kept him captive for 2.5 years on the farm in Virginia. Yeah. So
the other thing though too that I find interesting when people want to bring up unit, I mean when they bring up Mossad, like first off, it's Israeli State Intelligence Service or ISIS. So when you're fighting ISIS, it's just like all that's just an operation, just like Hamas, you know. But on top of that too, when has anyone ever mentioned when has anyone ever fucking, I mean, other than Brendan O'Connell, and I'm not going to necessarily recommend anyone to go out and watch him. Like, he's got a ton of information, but sometimes, you know, sometimes he's a little high strung. But, you know, other than him, I've never seen anyone talk about Unit 8200, Top Yacht, you know, but you can read it from the Times of Israel. You can read it from Asher Ben, what the fuck's his name now?
Ari Ben Menashe?
Yeah, that's the one. I said because Asher's the one of the fucking prosecutors in this, but Ari Ben Menashe talks about he was in Unit 8200. But you'll never hear a fucking American ever mention Unit 8200.
Speaking of potential, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say in Unit 8200, that's there's two guys in Israeli intelligence named Rafi Eitan, and one is in Unit 8200. Unit 8200 is involved with Promise, how the Promise software kind of proliferated. But I actually, when Ari Ben Menashe, when his Prophets of Power, when his autobiography had been re-released under Trine Day, Chris Milligan's outfit, I actually tried to reach out to him. I actually spoke to him for like a couple of minutes, but it just didn't work out in terms of trying to be able to get an interview with him or whatnot. But yeah, no, I think so many people tried to say, oh, he's full of it, he's lying. I said, no, they feared what he was going to say. I mean, he wasn't an Israeli Jew. He was like an Iranian or an Iraqi Jew. He was not,
he was Iranian.
I think they try to discard his truth because he's not Israeli Jew.
Yeah, but is it really an Israeli Jew, or is it just a bunch of Soviet immigrants?
I don't think there are any. I don't think there
Valid
are.
question, sir.
Now, Jonah, that's a question to ask.
And speaking of Israeli internet
Are we
trolls,
still live? Are we still live?
Well, yeah, it's still like-
speaking of Israeli internet trolls, what are we looking at here with old Israel's #1 war planner Jeffrey Epstein? I mean, he's documented, you know, not only witnesses, but like a comedian, that one angry fella, old fella, something Black. What's that guy?
Oh, Louis Black. Louis
Not
Black?
Leon Black. That's the kid diddling.
Louis Black?
That's Blackstone, right? Leon
Louis
Black.
Black. Louis
Black.
Black saw Ehud Barak over there, and according to his own statements, war planning with old possible Navy SEAL Lieutenant Commander Jeffrey Epstein, according to that one photograph. I'm just saying. That would make a lot more sense considering he has no background and is fucking everywhere in parapolitics. He's the Where's Waldo of parapolitics and kid diddling. But what am I looking at? Like, folks are saying this is Donald Trump. Is this Jeff and Donnie having a good
That's not Trump.
Good time?
That's not Trump.
No, that's
I
not
don't think
Trump.
so either. But that's what I'm saying. He was released at a time this week. It was everyone's like,
the
oh,
guy on the left. The guy
Could
on the
be
left is either Epstein or possibly Scott Bakula. It's definitely. I mean, that's
right.
Epstein.
No, it looks like it looks like Epstein. I can see the Bakula, but I
Yeah.
believe that's Epstein.
Definitely
But
could
the
be
guy
Epstein
on the right, I mean,
or
look at the
Jesse
guy's
Ventura.
eyes. The
I
guy.
thought
That's
it
what
was
I'm saying. That
the
ain't
guy's-
Donald Trump's eyes. That's what I'm
not
saying.
Trump.
His name's Ron, but everyone's trying to say it's Donald Trump. I don't know about that, but
And it says
That's
A
Ron
or
from
something.
Picture. I
I'm
like
like,
it.
what the? Yeah, what is that?
That's
I mean,
Ron from Ashley's Furniture Store.
that's what it says. Dude, it says Rob and Kill was the name of the plane. It says.
I mean, there's certain things you see Trump and Epstein, they're undeniable pictures. And then there's others where like you're trying too hard. Like, like that's when it becomes you're trying to kind of you're lying.
No, there's
to
a
your
lot of that
truth,
going on
you know?
right now.
I
Too.
mean,
No, you're spot on, sir. There's a lot of that's why we live in Muppet World, Phil. And
For sure.
here on
dude.
Muppet Epstein Island, we have that picture going on now.
I've pondered, Phil, did he even exist? Is this a cutout of some sort? And Epstein.
I like it.
Well, when you connect Epstein,
I'm just thinking off the wall. You know what I
with-
mean? Is this like a front that they throw to us, to get us to bite in on? some
Oh
shit,
no, I
right?
think he existed, but he existed for somebody to go compromise. Dude, this guy intentionally got. Dude, if he's some sort of super secret fucking kid diddling agent guy, he would not be taking fucking selfies with everybody, dude. Like it's not how life works, man.
well,
Right. Usually, if
here-
you know their name, they're not that important.
Well,
Here's the
he's going
question.
around documenting who he's with and what he's doing for a time later where he's going to get busted and suddenly everyone else has got problems. See what I'm saying? It's a shakedown to get whatever else who's got a photograph with him to do what they want to do. That's how I look at it. That's where I'm at with it.
What if, so, and I'm going to bring in someone who's figured into the whole Epstein thing. What if Epstein's name is like a Kaiser Soze? So like going with like Kevin Spacey angle to things. What if it's just, a name that's out there? I mean,
Kevin Spacey, you mean like Jeffrey Epstein's friend, Kevin Spacey?
Yeah. And by the
Okay,
way, his
all right.
name is only like Spacey. I think it's Kevin Spacey Fowler or something.
Right.
His name
The
is
son of the Nazi,
Spacey,
right?
his middle
Son of
name.
the Nazi.
Yeah.
I believe Spacey's innocent.
He
With
didn't do it. He didn't do it.
yeah, too many dead bodies. I mean,
Right.
either that or people are doing them some favors. But
Hey, dude, you gotta admit, in that TV show, he done pretty good. He's a pretty good liar. So I don't know.
well, and then
He's
he was
pretty good.
doing right after
House
he
of
got
Cards.
quote unquote Me Too. He was doing those creepy commercials, which like people were like, "Is he threatening to name people?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he might have," because in the end,
Dude, he was doing creepy
he's not doing
commercials.
jail time.
What gets Oh, go ahead, sir. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, I'm saying he's not doing jail time. The first
Well, I mean-
allegation was a guy named Anthony Rapp. Anthony Rapp was a young actor. He was in Adventures in Babysitting. He later on would go into prominence in Rent. He was in the Broadway musical and in
He
the movie.
He also drank the Kool-Aid in the cult at the end of Road Trip.
Yes. Jacob. I remember his name.
He drank the Kool-Aid
yeah.
first. And then
Yes,
everyone
he
else,
did.
they
Yeah,
did.
everybody was like, fuck it. We're not doing it. But yeah, he said Epstein, he said Spacey raped him. And then Spacey's like, you know what? Back then I was drinking a lot, but I realized I'm gay. What the fuck does that have to do with being accused of rape? What the hell?
Right? When you know when that occurred?
What?
He was there. My understanding in Rapp's own statement, he was 13, And it happened at Interlochen Summer Camp, where old Jeffrey Epstein has a home and finances that place. And I didn't know this. Many years, I just thought he financed that place. The dude went to school there. Jeffrey Epstein was at one point in time in his teenage life and a student at Interlochen, long before he was financing it and probably diddling folks up there.
Did you say Interlock?
Yes, sir. Interlochen up there in Michigan's.
So do you know there's a book called Interlock about the work of Mark Lombardi, the artist who connected conspiracies in his art, including BCCI and Harkin Bank?
Oh, I know that shit. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I reviewed that book about 9 years ago. Mark Lombardi, who they'd find spontaneously dead in his apartment, and they said it was a suicide.
Yeah.
It was like interlock, but yeah. He was on to the Bush family kind of early because they found him dead in 2000 before W's campaign really got going. But
I mean, you name the who's who of everybody in acting.
Oh shit, Ed
music.
Helms. Ed Helms, and I love the fact that Josh Groban, who is played Ed Helms' brother in The Office. That's kind of funny. And Vince Gilligan.
Well, I mean, again, this
X-Files.
This is the who's who, and Jeffrey Epstein attended this place when he was a teenager.
You know what? Now, here's the crazy thing. So we also have the fact that even though she's dead, Virginia Giuffre's autobiography is coming out soon this year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that'll be an interesting time. I'm sure they're holding off for a proper release. Right. So, like I said, he'd been financing it for years. And again, according to Rapp's story, when he was 13, that's where he got raped by Epstein. And again, Epstein has his own house there because he's been financed. I mean, again, I like where your brain holds that, Phil, because he's a conduit. He's a Kaiser Soze of characters. That's kind of what I was getting at with the Where's Waldo reference, because he's a conduit for all these hood rat shit activities. How much is he involved and all that? Who knows, right? Because it ain't his money in the first place.
Right. Speaking of George Bush, did you know Condoleezza Rice is part owner of the Denver Broncos?
They were talking. Now that doesn't surprise me.
I did not know that actually. No,
I seen it last Sunday on football. I was like, "What the hell is Condoleezza Rice owning a football team?"
She's a graduate, I think, of the University of Denver. I think that got pointed out by Family Guy or something like that. Which, I mean, take that for what it was, considering that Seth MacFarlane missed his flight on 9/11. And then became a huge DNC donor. He's a fucking whore. I mean, as much as I loved Family Guy back in the day, he is a fucking whore. So don't give a shit about him in the long run. And I think he fucked Amanda Bynes into being how batshit crazy she is, along with Dan Schneider.
Mark Wahlberg missed his flight too.
Mark Wahlberg missed his flight too. But Condoleezza Rice was at one point they were talking about her possibly being like an NFL commissioner at one point, because she is like huge in the sports. I remember that.
Hey,
at one point.
Don't forget Willie Brown missed his flight.
Snoop said Jeffrey Epstein didn't go to
Willie Brown.
Go ahead.
Willie Brown.
The one who gave us Malaka Harris.
Yes.
That white lady from Canada.
Willie Brown's fluffer, Kamala Harris.
Yeah, the white lady from Canada.
Yes. Yes,
So,
JJ, is this true? No, it's not.
Hey, wait. Since I'm in Canada, and you guys may not have our Canadian media down there, and like you know that story where she's like, "Oh, my friend was molested by her dad or her stepdad," blah blah blah. So they actually published the name of the victim here in Canada, in Montreal. I'm not gonna say it, but just by coincidence, the victim who was her friend that led her to become a prosecutor is the same name as a U.S. Supreme Court justice. So I was like, oh, really? If she is the real victim, I'm not going to give her name out, but I just found that really interesting.
That's super interesting. That's super interesting. So I went to Snopes here, and it tells me that Ted Kaczynski and Jeffrey Epstein did not go to Interlochen summer camp together. That's the first time I've heard the claim about Ted Kaczynski. However, this fellow right here looks a lot like Jeffrey Epstein, is of the same age as Jeffrey Epstein, and their book and website do not name the name of that individual right there. It looks just like this Ted Kaczynski thing. I think is the shit code of it is what I'm getting at with the Snopes here. But
what do you think this is real? Is this a real photo?
No, I can tell you that's a real photo. It's right here. I'm telling you right now, they won't identify who that guy is on the end. It doesn't have a name listed on there.
This picture.
No, focusing on the fellow on the left here, sir. But looks like Jeffrey Epstein right here. This guy.
This picture could be 100% real, and then they will try to disprove it like they tried to do with the David Ferry Civil Air Patrol with Lee Harvey Oswald.
With Lee Harvey
Which-
Oswald.
That's what.
Which,
yes,
by
sir.
the way,
there you go.
that
sir.
was-
I like
that
where
was-
your head's at there, sir.
That was PBS. And Oswald did it by himself, and yet still showed a Civil Air Patrol picture of David Ferry in one end and fucking Lee Harvey Oswald in the other.
Yep.
And-
Good old
and
frontline
Barry-
PBS, right? Frontline special.
And Barry Steele was in there
Frontline,
too.
yes.
Yeah, Gerald
Barry
Hall
Seal
mentioned that.
too. Yep.
That's
they were all
crazy,
in the
dude.
Civil Air Patrol.
So what are we saying, JJ? Here we're saying that they have.
Well, that's what I'm
these
saying. If Jeffrey
programs
Epstein had
to
some sort of conduit, right? Oh, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking, is this summer camp? Is this like MK Ultra mini summer camp? You know, precursor to before they load you
yes,
into
sir.
the big dogs. You know what I mean?
There you go, sir.
Well-
Thank you. You're spot on, sir. So, literally, everyone you think of artists, what look at John Legend. You know, that is married to that man, Chrissy Teigen.
Hey, he's at the
No.
Vatican tomorrow or today. He's at the Vatican today.
And that's what I'm
That's
saying.
performing
Yeah,
at St. Peter's
they
Square.
go back to interlocking together, right? So that's what I'm saying, dude. You know, I'm telling you, dude, this interlock. And if he went to school, if the guy they want to identify in the same age group as Jeffrey Epstein, and he didn't go there, it would build a longer heritage that he has to that place where he's owned a house. He has a house. And well, I don't think it's probably not called the Epstein house anymore. I can't substantiate that. It may very well still be called that. But he's financed on documents and their financial records. There's a lot of Epstein money through there. And then Anthony Rapp says he raped him in 1992 there. So if we can take Epstein back to 67, there makes you wonder what the fuck is interlocking camp? Is that an MK Ultra operation wholesale?
Right. That's what I'm thinking, dude. So I'm like the teacher. I'm
Mhm.
envisioning the teacher now has like glasses, like them real thick the real thick glasses they used to wear in the
Sidney
old
Gottlieb?
days.
Like Sidney
But anyways,
Gottlieb.
he's like, well, Jeffrey, you'll come over here and touch this boy over here and take this picture here. And then there's like this whole thing with Kaczynski's like, you know, teaching him how to make bombs or some shit in a workshop or something. I don't know. If he made any bombs.
I'm just saying,
that
dude.
is.
You know, who was your daddy? What's he doing? Where do these folks learn these things? You know, but all right. Well, gents, I appreciate all your all's time this evening.
Hey, wait, I got like 2 more photos or 2 more.
You got 2 more for us? Yes, sir. Well, I was going to say, let's pass it over some closing statements. We'll start with
Okay.
Jonah.
So I was just gonna close this out here because I kind of want to tie it all together here. So this goes into again with everything coming up right now when they're talking about all this Venezuela shit here. So this is stuff that it goes back to the Project Cassandra where this was the El Al-Sami. So he's Lebanese heritage, but he was previously the governor of Venezuela's Aragua state. So then when you hear all that Trent de Aragua,
Yep.
that's funny as fuck. But you know, you go down here to the bottom here, coordinating drug shipments to Los Zetas. Again, to Los Zetas was created by Special Forces with GAFE or whatever the fuck it is.
Well, that's Mexican
Mexico,
cartel,
right?
right? The Zetas, right? They took
Yeah.
over.
Zetas a Mexican, yeah.
Yeah, but they were all police or whatever. They were created by Israel and U.S. training them to fight the war on drugs. But then all of a sudden they're the number one.
Spot on.
But then here it says, as well as promoting protection to Colombian drug lord. Now, Daniel Barea, isn't that the guy who was with Freeway Ricky Ross? Isn't that the name? Or maybe I'm thinking wrong.
That's Danilo Blandone. I think
There you go.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
Danilo Blandone. Sounds like a appetizer at a Guatemalan restaurant, but that was in former Secretary of State of Nicaragua.
Then the next one is here we go with Project Cedar. So this is another side. So like they had Cassandra, they had Cedar, they had Titan. Again too. So Cassandra goes back to the Mistress of Chaos or whatever. Cedar for the Lebanese Cedar, which again ties into all the Kabbalistic shit, all the Bible references. And then Titan, you get all the fucking Greek. So again, you get all the esoteric on that one. So I just, you know, there's a lot going on here. Now, I remember Roy DeMeo here was running his cars to Kuwait. This is aerial surveillance that they had. So they have these photos from 2002 where it's just like empty farm lots. And then you look on the side, that's how they're trafficking or how they're getting a lot of their money back to the Middle East is through the car. So they're just purchasing cars at cheap and then fucking getting the value out of them, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's
so
no
it's an
different
easy way
than
to make money.
the way they import the drugs. I mean, like, you know, the drugs are more valuable here because, you know, the laws have created that market, but the cars are more valuable over there, so they're just going where the money is, right?
And if you look at the picture on the
whatever
right,
products they can, kids, guns, drugs, cars, you know what I mean? Muppet.
If you look at the picture on the lot, they had like fucking like literally 60, 70, 80,000 cars just on the lot there. So that's kind of interesting. And then I think there's one video, but I don't even need to play that because that was just a here's the video loading. And I'll just play the interesting part because it's kind of a segue to when you and I do. All right. There we go. So the video is playing now, but this is it goes back to 2004 when Hezbollah ends up killing the prime minister, and this is the head of their investigative services or whatever, intelligence services.
Is this Hariri?
You'll love the reference. Yeah, Hariri. So they're talking about his, but I just threw this in because it reminded me. This is from the documentary that I included in the clips to the Hezbollah Inc. But JJ, think of clear and present danger and the car bomb in there because
that's exactly what I was thinking of. Sir, you know my brain hole. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Why do you think Tom Clancy had to pass away so unexpectedly back in, what was it, 2012, give or take?
Yeah. But so right here, they're going to show the car bomb.
The assassination of Orlando Leitler.
Yes, Embassy Row.
So here,
yep, right in DuPont Circle.
Right here, they're going to show the car bomb, though, right? And if you look, it's a huge crater. No, it's a huge crater. So I just wanted to bring that up because they're literally showing they show the crater where they're digging the people up, and it's like, no, that's not a car bomb.
Yeah, that's definitely. So that was the plot line in Clear and Present Danger. Like that's definitely a missile.
Yes. That's not
a bomb. That's definitely a bomb. That's not a car bomb. Someone dropped it.
What does the guy say? It's not an aerial bomb. And then like Jack Ryan continues. Like Tom Clancy didn't just Tom Clancy was one of those writers where people are like, where do you get your shit? And
Steve Pajanik.
I was about to say we know where some of that came from.
Well, meanwhile, he dies relatively young, and another guy who seemed to know things that a president read, Vince Flynn, with his Mitch Rapp story. That's another guy who dies kind of like young, and I think it was cancer in Mitch Rapp's case. But Tom Clancy, there's a Tom Clancy. I think Tom Clancy died in and around not that far off when a certain influencer Andrew Breitbart died, give or take.
There you go. It was the onset of the second Obama administration, sir.
So there might be something there.
Very odd time because also that one dude's car just blew up over there with not a car bomb, not a missile, probably a drone, right? That one Michael Hastings.
Oh yeah, after he had that interview with McChrystal.
Yeah, that was all like all these deaths were, these were like an 18-month stretch. Like people are saying the Charlie Kirk thing is going to get weird here in America. I'm like, where the fuck were you, dude? This shit there's cars getting blown up by drones and shit, dude. Like there's all sorts of, there's like an 18-month period where Breitbart dies of a weird heart attack after having dinner with the head of the Weather Underground, Bill Ayers. And I'm just saying. Not that night, but in the weeks preceding, he had a weird fucking dinner with the guy, right?
I forget who I heard it somewhere where someone just mentioned that Larry Sinclair died. The guy
I follow Nick Bryan on Twitch, right? I hadn't seen that. He usually stalks the guy pretty well.
Larry Sinclair, who had a.
I'm thinking of Larry King. My apologies, sir. Larry Sinclair. Who's? Oh, I'm sorry.
The one who said he got
Obama. Oh shit.
Yes.
I got my weird Larrys mixed up for a second.
And never back down from it. Yes.
Yeah, dude, he did
Absolutely.
that. He did that. Tucker Carlson. Tucker was like, man, I believe the guy. He made it weird.
Yeah, Larry Sinclair and who was the other guy? Reggie Love. Those were the two guys who I know have been linked to Obama in like a.
Yes, sir. Well, you're a man with many details, Phil, and I always appreciate you joining me here tonight to get a little GCD every time. We'll look forward to the Wednesdays coming up. Do you have any closing thoughts for us tonight on tonight's conversation?
I had one thing real quick though. While Landon and Phil are closing up,
Canadian invasion.
Oh fuck. No, I was gonna say that I'll cut and drop the links in for the few things in the YouTube chat, but YouTube's a fucking.
Oh yeah, if you send them to me, I'll put them in the show notes.
They're already in our X conversations.
Yep, we'll get them in the show notes for folks. Then I already got everything. I already have it all opened up here, by the way, too. So we'll get it updated for folks.
And I do recommend everyone watches that Hezbollah Inc. It's a 3-part miniseries. It is on it goes way more in depth about the Project Cassandra shit, and it has the like DEA agents like Jack Kelly and Maltz, who was the guy who ran it, and they just kind of talk a lot of shit about how they did all this work, and then the White House is like, yeah, no, fuck you, you're going to a desk.
Yep, typical. Pack your bags. You're going to Siberia or Alaska or some shit, right? All right, any other closing thoughts, sir, Jonah, before we pass it over to Phil for any closing thoughts?
To see y'all Wednesday. I'm not gonna lie, we probably are gonna run 5 hours or have to.
Well, I was gonna say we might end up doing maybe only cover the first half of it, maybe, because it is an 8-parter. Maybe a 2-part series for us to cover.
10 seasons or 10 series or episodes.
We're gonna do a 20-part review of an 8-part miniseries. So buckle up.
No, I'm saying there's 10 episodes in the series.
Oh, is it 10? Well, we're gonna need 25. We're gonna need 25 shows to do a 10-part series. No, seriously, I appreciate your gents' time and discourse on these matters. I learned a lot about, especially these mafia stuff, but a lot of details from you fellas, and I appreciate it. And the offer, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, I dove head into this mobster stuff after watching this. This is great series, and I look forward to reviewing it with y'all. So, and that'll be Wednesdays, Operation GCD Wednesdays, with both these gentlemen joining us back, and Landon, you're welcome to join us too if you'd like, sir, for that review. And I'll pass it over to Phil. Appreciate your time tonight, sir. Any closing commentary for us?
You know what? Every time I hang out here, I feel like I take in so much information. So, I mean, I thank you guys.
Same here, bud. I appreciate your time as well. You're a man with a lot of details. I like that.
Cheers.
No, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, Phil. You're mobster, and I share these ideas with Jonah as well, saying, I learned a lot about a lot of these kind of mobster stuff that I just didn't have a lot of, more within my my purview, my sight picture necessarily. But I also enjoy your affinity for Bob Cocaine Evans and his tales of lives and crimes of Bob Cocaine Evans. So this will be a good one here with the mobsters and Bob Cocaine Evans come Wednesdays here. So that'll be a good one.
Yep. 100%.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time as well, Landon, sir. And do you have any closing comments or any plugs to the Daily Dissonant you'd like to add?
No, not really. Nothing really working. I might have a guest coming on in the next
week. Are you saying you got your mind blown here tonight, sir?
Yeah, absolutely.
Your barn has been burned, is what you're saying.
I had no recollection of any mob other than Giansana and a little bit of Lucky Luciano. That's my mob knowledge. That's how deep it goes. So nice. I was very pleased with the conversation we had. I thought it was very good.
Purple Gang. Nice.
Oh, did you say Purple Gang? Dude, the Detroit guys? No, dude, those guys are racist, dude.
Yes. little Jewish Navy, Maple Road.
Right?
Well, Landon, we will enlighten you. We're good. We can give you some guys. Jack Dragna and the LA Mob. We got this.
All right. Well, I'll put all the links for tonight's show notes, or all the links in the show notes for them tonight. There we go. I got my words straightened out there. Holy smokes! And then tonight, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Times, the adventures and lives and crimes of old Muppet Mikey Aquino. his psyops of mine war, just like General Paul Valle, his co-author, who was until earlier today, it seems, still listed on the Turning Point USA Board of Directors website. That's weird. And along with well, I have no doubt. I'm going to look more into that. He probably is CMP. And, so we'll be doing that tonight, 9:15 p.m., along with his buddy, old pal, laser tag Ted Gunderson.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
They got Ted twice, folks. So thanks again for joining us tonight, folks, to the interwebs. Get a little GCD. Stay vigilant. Watch out for laser beams. And any last commentary or alibis from you gents here before we call her in?
Nope. Everyone have a good weekend.
All right, then. Yes, sir. Catch y'all next time.
Well, that's it. That's the show here, folks. So the next time you're out on the town, visiting your local watering holes, or perhaps just meandering around, and you hear the unmistakable sounds of metal clanking, and you spot signs of a disturbance, but check your six. Look in that garbage can, 'cause you never can tell. The GCDs may be loose in your town.